Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our AMAS Ask Me Any Stock session. If you guys can see and hear me, this type of GM for good morning. Let me know if this is working. We are live right now on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Let me know who is joining us here today. I think we have a lot of familiar names joining us every single Friday. Good morning. All right, Simon, hi. Bervin, welcome back. Z, awesome. Good morning, ABC, Koki as well. Hi, Lillian. Morning, Aiden, Astel, Andy as well. What's your take on the current market? Awesome, right? Good morning. Welcome, guys. Welcome to our Ask Me Any Stock session. So you have been following me and my team, well, essentially since like last year, beginning of last year, right? We have started this Ask Me Any Stock session, whereby every Friday we go live 10:30 a.m. We talk about the Singapore market. We talk about the US market as well. So we alternate between Singapore and US. So last Friday was US. So today is back to the Singapore market. So what is this about? Well, as the name of the live show sounds, right? Ask me any stock. So we'll do a quick market outlook, and then we'll go on to the next part, which would be to cover the Singapore stocks that you guys are pretty much asking about. So later when you type in the name of the Singapore stocks in the chat, right, make sure you give us a bit of context, like what do you want to know about this Singapore stock, right? Are you looking to buy, to sell, you want to get out, what price do you get in, like last week, last month, what price? All right, what's your intention, right? So that when we go into analyze the stock, there's a little bit more context, it's a bit more personalized to you, and then that's how when we analyze, I think that's how you can get more value as well. Does it make sense, fam? All right, Ken. So that's what will happen, right? We'll cover the Singapore stocks that you guys want a quick opinion on. We'll turn on my One Good Trend Pro indicator, pretty much the tool that is based off my One Good Trend strategy. All right, that I've been using for more than 15 years now. So later we will share more about it as well. All right, and at the end, that's where we'll share with you guys 3 top Singapore bonus stocks that you can put in your watch list for potentially more upside as for the next month in July. All right, Ken? So let's get started. So my name is Joey Choy. All right, if you have never met before, you're kind of like scrolling through YouTube or Facebook. My name is Joey, top tier retail trader in Philips Securities. Pretty much I've been doing stocks, focusing on stocks for the last 15, 20 years. All right, and I have what I call the One Good Trend strategy. Later you'll learn more about it. But today, guys, just to share with you, we don't have time to cover the whole strategy and all that, right? But we do have a tool that you can, we'll talk more about it as well, okay? But essentially, some of those ideas that we share, right? We actually share with our clients in Philips Securities. So if you are not yet a client of mine in Philips Securities, check out how you can become a client. The link is right in the chat. That's where we actually share some of those top Singapore ideas by WhatsApp daily, right, for free at no additional cost, right? So many of these stocks could be what you'll be asking later. Maybe it could be a top stocks that we'll talk about at the end as well, all right? But find out more, the link is right in the chat, all right? So that you can get some of those top ideas for free daily, especially if you are kind of like trading, in the market. I mean, you have a trading account. I mean, you need one, right, to buy and sell stocks, correct? So you probably have a trading account somewhere, right? But if you're not getting any service from your own broker, right? And that's what we hear from many of our clients, right? We ask, hey, what service are you getting from your own broker? There's no service, where your service, right? Nobody call me, nobody contact me, nobody send me any idea, no video, no WhatsApp, no email, nothing, right? They don't even know who is the person. It's just like a hotline or something. Is that you? Right? If that's you, click on the link in the chat, find out how you can get some of those ideas for free, some personalized service at least. Okay, link is right in the chat. Okay, Ken. Now, let me go ahead. And before we begin, guys, would it be okay if you help me to like and share? Help me to like and share this live show right now so you can reach out to more people as well. That would be really, really helpful. Show me some love. There's a heart shape button at the bottom right. Click it. Help me to like and share. Of course, if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook live as well, make sure you do that so that when we go live in the future, or maybe any videos that we publish as well, mid of the week, maybe early of the week as well, you can be alerted as well, right? So make sure you subscribe, hit the follow button if you have not yet done so. Thank you so much for those of you who are like kind of hitting the like and heart shape. Awesome, right? Thank you so much for the love. All right, now let's go ahead to get started right now. So I have with me my team with me as well. So not only just me analyzing your stocks using the one good trend strategy, right? I have my team right over here joining me, and today we have Bervin. All right, Bervin. Okay, maybe I can introduce Z first. Z, one of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities. Conducting our group coaching sessions with our graduates, our one-on-one calls with our mentees, and also assisting our teams. Portfolio manager with an 8-figure fund management business as well. All right, and Z is a CMT, Chartered Market Technician, pretty much an expert in charts, right? Anything to do with charts, I do consult her as well, all right, on certain price action, all right, patterns and all that. And of course, she's very well versed in the entire one good trend strategy that me and my team uses on the daily basis. So let me just pass on the mic maybe to Z just to share a little bit on herself, right, in case you guys are new. Z, go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Joey, for the introduction. So basically, I think to sum it up what Joey actually mentioned, basically what it just means is that I like looking at charts, right? And I like looking at candlestick, trying to, understand the market a little bit more. Nobody can be able to, predict or understand the market 100%, right? Because the market is always consistently moving and changing, right? But of course, we want to have a repeatable framework that is able to, help you easily with a click of a button to give you some sort of indication whether is there bullishness, bearishness, things like that, right? To help you make your trading process slightly easier, right? So I think that is what we will be going through today as well, to try to cover as many stocks as possible from you guys. But come to think of it, I think just now what Joey mentioned, we have been doing this for more than 1 year, right? I was just thinking about it. Well, actually 1.5 years already, right? Because this year we are already in June, and June is actually coming to an end. So hopefully we will do this for many, many more years to come, right? And to be able to add even more value to you guys. So yeah, without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to introduce Bervin.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, so yeah, later Z will share more with you on your Singapore stocks. All right, I think some of you are already typing in the name of your Singapore stocks in the chat already. And well done, and thanks for giving us a bit of context. As I say, if you give more context, you take the time and effort to type a little bit about your stock. I don't just type one name there. I also don't know what you want to do with the name, right? But give us a bit of context. We will definitely give you a bit more priority lah. All right, and of course, it's a very popular stock we'll try to cover as well lah. Okay, now let me go to introduce another of my team members. So Jia Yi will not be joining us today. He's working on other projects. We have Bervin, right? Bervin joining me today as well, together with Z, all right? One of the top brokers under me in Philip Securities, assisting in our team's group coaching sessions, one-on-one calls or mentees, even assisting our team's portfolio manager as well with an 8-figure portfolio management business. And Bervin is not just an expert in technicals or charts, right, or price actions, but he is what we call also our go-to person in the team, anything to do with the fundamentals of the stock, the valuations, right, and that's where he has what we call a CFA, a Chartered Financial Analyst, one of the highest qualification one can ever get in the banking and the finance space, all right. So let me pass on the mic to Bervin, maybe just share a little bit on himself. Bervin, yours.
All right, thanks Joey for the introduction. Hi everyone, welcome back to our weekly AMAS session. I mean, like what Joey said, today we are covering the Singapore market. Blink of an eye, half the year is gone already. It's the last Friday of June already. So like Z and Joey have said, yeah, we have been doing this for more than 1.5 years. Meaning, so I hope in the past 1.5 years, you guys have gotten a lot of value. We have seen more and more people joining us on our weekly sessions. We hope to see even more people, coming into our sessions in for the remaining half of this year. So I think the market is trying to be very bullish. The Singapore market has been very, very resilient, all right, as compared to the US market, which is a little bit more volatile. So like what Joey have said, if you want a little bit more insights into the holdings that you are holding, or you're thinking of buying or selling the stock, you want our quick opinion on it, do give us a little bit of context. All right, so without further ado, I'll pass the time back to Joey to kickstart this session.
All right, thank you so much. Let's get started, right? Just a quick disclaimer, right? Whatever that's being shared in this live show and all other live shows as well, it's just for education purposes only, right? So please do your own due diligence, right? Not asking you to buy or sell anything. We're just sharing with you guys, your stocks, your, an opinion based on my one good trend strategy, based on the tools that we're using every single day, all right? But you decide on your own actions. Cool, all right, Ken? So do a bit of homework lah, okay, Ken? So let's get started, maybe we can cover right now the markets. I mean, since we're looking at what we call the Singapore stocks today, let's take a look at what we call the STI, the Singapore market, right? Type of M for market, guys, if you want me to go ahead to go through the markets, the Singapore market, right? And for market, guys, let me know if you want me to go through the markets today, specifically the Singapore STI. Let me know, guys. Type an M for market, all right? Or should we just skip it and go direct to your stock? I don't know, right? Let me know. M. All right, markets, very good. And would it be okay, as I say, guys, help me to like and share, this live stream, right? I think that there should be a like and share button somewhere at the top or at the bottom right. Like and share, that would definitely help us to reach out to more people as well, all right, if you have not done it, all right? And also, if you like and share, I think this stream will be on your profile. You can easily find it as well, all right? Okay, so market. Now, let me go ahead to take a look at what we call the STI right now. So this is what we call the STI, Singapore's Straits Times Index. Now, let me just quick to turn off the signals and right over here. So you can see that for STI, I would say we have been covering it since, 1-2 years back already. It's been in a very firm, longer term uptrend. I mean, let's look at what we call the red line, 100 days moving average. Red line is pointing up. The blue line, 200 days moving average, has been pointing up very nicely as well. Not just last week or yesterday or last month. I mean, it's been like since quite long already. I mean, like last year, I don't know when. I think it's been like 2023, 2024 already pointing up. So it's been in a very firm, longer term uptrend since a few years back. All right, and of course, since last year, we started to see signs of strength in the entire Singapore market due to the government MES measures, of the stock revival program, the equity market development program to pump not just 5 billion, but I think a total of $6.5 billion into the Singapore equities market. Right, that's where you have earmarked fund managers. I think about 9 fund managers to kind of buy into Singapore equities, not just the big caps, but also the small and mid caps as well. And that's where you've seen strength in many of those tech companies in Singapore, the mid caps in Singapore as well, since last year, June, July. So very strong long-term uptrend. It is still ongoing. The banks are pretty much leading the way as well. We have DBS, OCBC pushing to highs, all right, and that's led the STI much higher. So this is what we call, I would say, the longer-term trend, all right. Of course, we look at the short-term trend, we can focus on the green 20 days moving average line, right? Since like February, the green line, when the US market sold off, we have the US-Iran war, a bit of weakness here and there, right? But so far, we did not really sell down that heavily, right? Before seeing a reversal like the S&P, we sold down a little bit. Buyers came out, defended, and we pushed even higher, right? And what I like was, over the past few weeks, right? Finally, the green 20 days moving average line that was like going down a bit, up a bit, and then down a bit or flat, actually started to point up, right over here, right? You can see that the short-term trend has turned up since like mid of May, whereby we really started to see strength, right? The market attempting to push even higher, right? Led by what we call the banks, right? DBS pushing to highs as well, right? And that is what we are seeing right now. So I think that overall, the Singapore market is quite bullish. If I can turn on, in a matter of seconds, the signals, the 1GT bullish or maybe bearish signals. Let's take a look, right? The very first box. So these are two that we'll be using, right? We can turn it on and off in seconds. We get an opinion, not just on any stocks or any asset classes, but on the markets, right? So this is the STI, the market. You can turn it on, pump, and let's see, right? And there we go, right? So I'll not go too far, but you can see for yourself, like every time we get bullish signal, that was in November, December, all the way up. Every time we get a red color, bearish signal, it's a bit of selling, a bit of weakness. You can see went down a bit 1-2 weeks, then went sideways, right? Same thing over here. Bearish signal in July last year, went down a bit, rest a bit, right? But every time a new bullish signal appears, previously in like last year, April, right? After the whole tariffs, Trump introduced tariffs, right? We got a bullish signal. Of course, previously we got bearish one as well, came out and then we went all the way down, right? But once the bullish green 1GT signal appears, you can see for yourself, all the way up, right? So let's take a look at what is happening right now. Are we seeing a bullish signal or maybe even a bearish signal? So let's take a look, right? So you can see that over the past 2-3 months, well, we got a couple of bearish, right? Bearish, it came down and it went up again. The bearish came down a bit, up and down. So it was pretty much consolidating, I would say, below the 5,000, maybe to the 5,100 psychological resistance level. You can see, right? Went up, came back down, came back down. Every time we touched, we came back down, right? But what I like is that over the past 1 to 2 weeks, right? Finally, it seems like we've got out of the 5,100 psychological resistance level. So not even 5,001. In fact, I think it's gone up a little bit higher. Maybe support would be from 5,001 to 5,150. Look at this, right? This is where the green 20 days moving average line is as well. That acts a little bit like a dynamic support level. So you see a bit of selling today. We kind of push back down, but I think it still looks okay, right? We're still holding above this 5,150 or maybe the 5,100. Short-term trend still up. The most recent would be a new 1 GT bullish signal as well. So I think it looks okay, right? A bit of profit taking is fine. We are pretty much consolidating from maybe 5,150 to 5,250. So that's the range, right? So I think a bit of selling yesterday. I mean, you've been following the markets. US market have seen a bit of selling over the past few days due to the technology sector selling off. A bit of kind of like concerns over a potential rate hikes, because PCE numbers, the personal consumption expenditure numbers, which is kind of like a gauge whereby the Federal Reserve use to gauge inflation, all right, is still pretty much at a high point, right? So that's where I think the new Federal Reserve Chairman, Kevin Walsh, kind of like, hinted that, that I mean, still watching, nothing confirmed, but, there could be a potential rate hikes if, inflation still remains high, remains elevated, right? And that's where, many of the tech stocks sold off a bit of profit taking after the massive run up over the past few months. So that's why I would say a bit of selling again, all right, today. After the run-up we have seen since last week, a bit of selling, a bit of profit taking, but certain sectors are doing well. Certain sectors are maybe not doing well as well, right? So later we'll cover the stocks and we'll see what is good, what is not so good. Okay, so this is the STI. Looks quite okay, right? We're still holding above the 5,150 support, right? I think overall it's still bullish. We come down a little bit. You can see buyers might start to appear like what we've seen over the past few months. Okay, Ken. So this is the STI. Now, let me go ahead to move on to the next part of today's show, right? Very quickly, I think we have more than 200 of you joining us. Welcome, guys. Welcome to this live show right now. We have just covered what we call the STI, and we'll go on to the segment whereby we are going to cover the Singapore stocks that you want a quick opinion on. So do me a favor, if you have not yet typed in the name of the stocks that you want a quick opinion on, I'm going to do it right now, all right? Give us a bit of context, all right? Put in a bit of effort, type in like, what do you want to know about this stock? Do you get in like last week or 10 years ago? At what price? All right? Or maybe you sold it last week, you want to buy again? I don't know, all right? Give us a bit of context, right? So that when we go into analyze your stock, we have a bit of a context. I think it will be much more useful. You get more value as well. Okay, Ken? So let me go ahead to pick the very, very first stock for today. Okay, let me see what is the first stock for today. I haven't checked it out yet, but let me just see what is a stock, okay? Okay, maybe I can pick the very first stock for today. Let's take a look. Lillian, I hope you're still over here. Hi, Joey and team. Yeah, good morning, all right? Need your advice whether to let go SIA. Bought SIA at 650. Okay, so to let go means to sell lah, huh? You bought at 650. Let's take a look at what price is it right now. Singapore Airlines, SIA, right? Where is it? Let's take a look. There we go. Wow. Okay, so this is SIA right over here. You can see that I've already turned on this bullish and bearish signals. Let me just turn it off for now. So you bought at what price? 650. Wow, 650. That means you bought around here, around here, 650. Right now is what price? Now it's 750 plus already. Wow, not bad, huh? You make at least like $1 already. Congratulations, right? Okay, now let's take a look at SIA right now. So should you sell? Should you take some profit? Right? Is it going to come back down? Maybe can go all the way higher, right? What should you do? Let's go ahead to analyze SIA. So I would say that for SIA, over the past 1-2 years, we have been pretty much consolidating sideways. Look at this, right? This is a very key resistance level. I talked about it in my previous YouTube video as well, right? $7.20. Look at this, right? We kind of like touch it right over here. We sold down. Same thing over here in February. We touch it. We sold back down. So every time we go to 720, I don't know why, but every time we go there, we always come back down. A lot of selling pressure, right? Right? And, if we stay below it, then it might just be moving sideways in the longer term. And that's what we can see from the, red and blue line as well. The longer term trend, it was like consolidating from, look at this, right? Quite clearly. 620 to 720. All right. Up, down for the past 1 over year. all right? And the red and blue line, you see, it was like sideways. So it's a bit of a longer term sideways trend since like 1 year, 2 years ago. All right, that's for the longer term. But over the past few weeks, right, finally you could see that there are some signs of the longer term trend turning up. Look at the red line turning up, blue line also slightly turning up, red above the blue, right? So from sideways, it could be the beginning of the trend turning from sideways to up in the longer term. So that's a sign of strength, right? And one thing I like is that we have also broke above the key $7.20 psychological resistance level. As I say, at this 720, every time we touch after the past 1 year, we touch, we come down, we touch, come down. But over the past like 2 weeks, never come down. I don't know why. I mean, never come down. You went above it, right? And then you don't go up and come back down again. No, right? You go above it and then you stay above it, right? Is it still above? Yeah, it's still above. It's like 750 something, right? So we are above 720 for like 2-3 days. And then I think this was one of the stocks that we actually sent out a note to our clients as well. I think not just when it broke 720, but a couple of weeks back as well. All right. So as I say, guys, if you want to get some of those ideas like SIA much faster, right? Than the time we cover it live on a Friday, Ask Me Any Stock session on our videos on YouTube. Check out how you can become a client of ours in Philips Securities for free. You do not pay anything more. All right. You get those ideas, more actionable ideas, and you can act on it much faster. As I say, if you don't get any service from your own broker, check it out. The link is right below. And don't listen to what I say. Check out what some of our clients are saying as well. Right? The link is right below the video. All right, Ken? Okay, so we broke 720. We got a note sent out to our clients a couple of weeks back, and we have since pushed even higher. Now, let me just go ahead very quickly, guys, to turn on the bullish and bearish signals from my One Good Trend Pro indicator. There we go, right? So you can see that for SIA, I will not go too far, but if you ask me in like March, that's where the US-Iran war started, oil prices spike up, and of course, for the airlines, aviation sector, right? Oil or jet fuel accounts for a huge part of their expenses, all right? And of course, it will be a hit of their margin if oil prices spike up, right? So that's where we got a bearish signal. You can see it went down from like $7 plus all the way to 620. Another bearish signal came out. So if you ask me in March and April, I'll say, wait first lah. I mean, be a bit more patient lah. Don't need to rush. I mean, it's a bit weak, right? So be patient, right? Wait for the time to come back in. Wait for the cuts to show its hand. All right, wait for SIA to be stronger again. Wait for the confirmation of the reversal to come in, right? So yeah, finally, right, we got the first 1GT bullish signal popping out on the 21st of May, right? 21st of May, that was like around 650, 650. Did you get in there around 650, leader? I think maybe you saw this signal. I think are you a kind of like a graduate of ours, whereby I think you got access to our tool, right? So I think maybe you saw this 1GT bullish signal around 650, right? Yeah, not too bad. All right, then we got a second 1GT bullish signal. Yes, push even higher, right? So well done, Lydian. Maybe you have seen the signal, you have got in, you have wrote the reversal, the green 20 days moving average line that was like going down as well. All right, you can see so the short-term trend was like down, flat, then down, and then sorry. And then when we got the 1GT bullish signal, right, the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend actually started to turn up, right? Is it still up? Yeah, still up lah. So the short-term trend is up. Longer-term trend still, in the upwards direction, beginning to be a bit more stronger, right? Bullish signals are still in place. So back to your question, right? Any advice to let go of SIA, right? You bought at 650. And one thing I want to congratulate you as well, because if you got in at 650, most people, when you go 650, and then you go up to $7, maybe you sell already, or maybe 720, you sell already, right? But the fact that you actually rolled it all the way to now, all right, that's a good thing, right? Because, I mean, first of all, there's no red bearish signal. I mean, what if you red color bearish signal be right like this lah? I mean, you sit over here or here, then take some profit, get out lah, but don't have right? So I think it still looks okay lah. I mean, it still looks okay lah, right? It's just a bit of resting. I mean, you see previously we got a bearish signal, went down, consolidated, and pushed even higher. All right. So right now, I think maybe a bit of profit taking in the market. As the market is a bit weaker today based on last night US actions. All right. But it still looks pretty okay. Long-term trend is up, short-term trend is up. Potential target could be maybe all the way to like $8. All right, $8 would be what we call a psychological resistance level. Let me just do a bit of a projection. So as I mentioned, right, the range over the past 2 years was like 620 to 720, right? That is kind of like the range. If I can kind of like extrapolate after breaking the 720, if I kind of like extrapolate upwards, right, above 720, well, that could maybe to, yeah, $8, $8.20, that could be what we call an upside target, whereby some heavy profit taking can appear again, right? But so far so good. I think, you can continue riding it. If you want to take some profit, as I say, nothing wrong. That's what we always advise our, mentees and graduates. Nothing wrong to take some profit along the way. Nothing wrong, right? I mean, you take some profit near $7.80, near $8. Go ahead, by all means, right? I mean, put some in your pocket, put some profit in your pocket. Nothing wrong, right? But I probably wouldn't want to take all because it still looks okay, right? So you take all, then after you go up, then you say, yeah, wasted, sell all, already, then go up, right? But take some, nothing wrong, up to you, okay? But I think it still looks okay, all right? Maybe seeing a bit of a profit taking. If we stay above the 750, so $7.50 might be what we call a near term. So it used to be 720, but now I think no longer 720 now. I think it's higher already. 750, 750 will be what we call a new higher support. If we stay above this level, it's a psychological level as well. I think the upside still remains intact, all right? Uptrend in the longer term, in the short term, still looks good. We could potentially ride even more upside momentum, all right? So that will be SIE. And these two 1GT bullish signals can maybe even continue to play out, right? Until we see a bearish one, a red color one, then we can get out, take some profit, but as of now, don't have. I hope that helps, Leon. That will be the very first stock for today, SIA. All right, let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. All right, SIA, I think finally starting to wake up already. It's a good sign, right? So let me just pull up the next stock right here. I just saw someone that was asking about it. Someone was asking about DBS. What is the comment? Can't seem to find the comment, but no worries. Let me just pull up the chart first. All right. On the screen right now, we have DBS. I think, here we go. Zephyr was asking, could you help us to assess DBS? What would be a good price to go in? All right, so I think DBS, one of the biggest, right? One of the biggest local banks in Singapore. And definitely, I think we see a little bit of a pullback this morning, a slight pullback. I mean, that's what's causing the index to also be having a slight drag, right? So I think you're thinking if this is a good price to get in, or what is a good price to get in. I think the run up for DBS has been quite amazing, right? Quite amazing since March, where we had a low of about $53, $52, right? Up to right now, that is already a 22% run up. That's one very, very common questions that we always get asked by clients is DBS too expensive to buy? At $52, we get asked that question. At $63, we get asked that question. And even at $65, we still get asked that question as well. So if you are feeling that way, completely normal. All right, completely normal. All right, we see DBS actually, trying to approach that $68, right? $68 resistance level, right? The $68 resistance level right there, coming close to it, and then sellers start to pick up again. Profit taking happens at these kinds of levels, and then we may also find out, like, just draw a shorter line right here. Let me just change this to green color, which I would think is a temporary support level. Why? Let me just change this. Let me just get rid of this first, because this was where previously was a resistance, a temporary resistance. Prices rebounded, dropped and rebounded from that $62 level, and then finally broke above this level last week, and then right now we are heading back towards this level. Is this level going to hold? Is this $65 level going to hold? I'll say the probability of it holding is quite okay. Why? It is because it is a psychological level. All right, 65 round number, 70 round number, 80, that sort of numbers tend to see a little bit more buyers or sellers coming in, to support and to defend those kind of levels. And this is where currently that 20 days moving average is also very close to. Right? So I think many of those investors are actually thinking that this could be possibly a good level to accumulate some shares, not to go and buy everything one shot, just to accumulate some shares on the way up, because we never know if prices are going to be heading back to $62 or even maybe $60 for you to actually get in. Last thing you want is you giving up the opportunity. Ultimately, the banks still looks good. All right, some of the banks have actually started to wake up a little bit, start to move a little bit higher. Right, I think if you are a client of Joey, you have known which bank I'm referring to as well. If you're not, all right, I think you can click the link in the chat to find out a little bit more on how to be a client. So right back to it, we have DBS also showing very strong uptrend. All right, very strong uptrend still in play with the 100 days and 200 days moving average still pointing up. All right, still pointing up. We have the immediate resistance at $68, and if that resistance gives way, I'll just use a larger range. Okay, this is the larger range from the $65 upwards. We could be projecting upwards towards $74, even $75 if that $68 actually gives way. All right, so that's more of a manual analysis. But right now, I would like to just very quickly turn on what we call the buy or sell signals. Right, the buy or sell signals, right? You see, right here we have a 1GT bullish signal that have actually shown up. When was it? On the 18th of June. Just as prices were breaking above that temporary resistance of about $65, we had a 1GT bullish signal actually showed up. And that's a sign of a potential momentum picking up. Not a confirmation, not a guarantee, not an instruction to buy, but an additional layer of confirmation that you may want to have, or a quick opinion that you may want to have in order to see if prices could potentially be heading higher. So far, so good. I mean, if that $62 level gives way, we could be heading back to that psychological $60 level as well. Right, so another level that you may wish to accumulate at could be what we call close to the trailing support level. All right, so we have horizontal support, those straight lines, those are static levels, they do not move in time, but the dynamic supports, the trailing supports move along with prices, so it can be used in many ways. We have people using it, or we actually recommend to use it as a potential moving stop loss, trailing stop loss level, right? By placing a stop limit order under that trailing support level, I think it can help you to lock in some of those profits as well. Right, so just imagine you got in very close to that trailing support, very close when you actually saw that first 1GT bullish signal actually show up in March. Ride it up all the way, second 1GT bullish signal coming in, and then when you saw the 1GT bearish signal, hey, maybe it's time to just let go of some positions first, reduce a little bit of exposure, lock up some profits, and then when you see a new 1GT bullish signal, you could get back in to accumulate again on the way up. All right, so that is the purpose of the trailing support. All right, so if we are still holding above that trailing support, I would say DBS is still looking good at this point of time. But if prices, I'm not too sure if prices will be able to head back to that trailing support for you to buy very close to it. Nobody can tell you if that's going to happen. But if it is, you maybe want to just set up some alerts, right? Maybe very close to the 62 to maybe $63 level in the nearer term. So if you get alerted, come in, look at the charts, make sure everything still looks good, and then that could be an opportunity for you to get in. All right, Zephyr? And so that is for DBS Holdings. I'll now pass the time to Z to actually cover the next stock for you guys. Z?
All right, thank you, Bhavin. Okay, so let me share my screen, and the stock that I'll be covering will be by Jeffrey, right? Good morning, Jeffrey. I hope you are still here. Thanks for typing the comment with some details for us to note, right? You mentioned that you bought Yangzijiang Shipbuilding at 3.85, and you are thinking of whether to hold or to cut loss at this moment, right? So I think that's a very valid question, because your entry price is 3.85, and as of now, if you are looking at the chart, price is at 3.44, so sitting on some losses, right? So thinking of whether to cut or to continue holding, right? So that's a very common question that we get. But I think maybe my question, right, maybe back to you, Jeffrey, if you're still here, right, is that where did you buy this stock at, even though it's at 3.5? Because you see, from February all the way to May, this period, right, this couple of months, 4 months, right, there is multiple times whereby price actually touched 3.85, right? Could it be buying here, or was it here, or was it here, right? Because at different point in time whereby you buy, there's different things that perhaps you could have done, right? If let's say you have bought it here, first time here, went up to the high, right? Profits, but never take profits, right? Price come down, sian, right? So if let's say you bought it here, again, go up to this level, never take profits, also sian, because now price come back down and then sitting on losses, right? But if you tell me you have bought it here, that typically we shouldn't be buying here lah. Why? Because number one, we got a 1 GT bearish signal. 20 days moving average is also pointing down, right? Because remember, when we think about buying, we want to think about buying into strength lah, right? When there is a bullish signal, when your short-term moving average 20 days is pointing up, aligning with the longer-term trend, right? So now the thing is that this is where we are at, right? You're still holding on to a position, right? So then that is where we got to look a bit deeper to find out where is the support and the resistance, okay? So as you can see over here, I mean, it's pretty clear lah. The resistance, right, is around this 440 lah, right? Because tested one time, tested two times, you see both of these times there is very long upper shadow, right? So this would, I would say, be the zone called what we call like a sell zone, right? Whereby profit taking could return, selling pressure could come back, right? But look at this level, right? This level right over here, $3.60. Now I turn it to a red color line because price is below this line, right? But previously, when prices broke above it right here in February, right? This level last time was a resistance right? Same thing here, January tested as a resistance, but broke above it, became a support, right? So here to here, it was actually a support. When prices came down, buyers came in, pushed prices back up, rebounded, right? Oops, sorry. Wait, let me go back to BS6. Yeah, okay. So prices rebounded from this 360, right? All the way back up to retest this 440. Right? And then selling pressure once again came in and pushed price all the way down, and it triggered not just one but two consecutive 1 GT bearish signal, right? Plus that's just the signal, right? We you know the trend, just now we talk about the trend, right? 20 days moving average. You can see that it's actually pointing down, and now if I were to zoom in big enough, can you still see that the 20 days moving average is actually still pointing down? And plus on top of that, has it broken this 360 support level? It did, right? It did broken this 360 support level, head to about 335, right? Then, of course, I mean, there's some buyers came in, rebounded, tested, managed to hold above it, I think, for about 1 week, right? But didn't manage to hold above it firmly. Now, once again, price come back down. So I believe, like, during this period, right, definitely there will be some emotions involved. I don't know if you guys have these emotions whereby, you know, when it comes to investing, there will be emotions whereby, maybe once it broke this level here, then you start to feel a bit of anxiety, right? Every day you see the price going down. Then suddenly here, a bit of hope, a bit of relief because price rebounded. Then you think, okay, I think can go back up. Then once again, broke back down. Then now like, ayo, shit, now how? What should I do again, right? So I think those are very common emotions that you will feel, right? So how to actually, you know, minimize those kind of emotions definitely will be when you buy, right? At any point in time, just now when I circle the 385, right? At any point in time you actually bought it, you should have already thought about like a stop loss plan, because if prices were to break below this 360 by right here, if you have a stop loss plan, perhaps on these very few days, these days of candlestick, perhaps you have gotten up already, and then you don't have to go through all the emotions that you face over here, all right? But no choice, right? Now we are still holding on to a position. So what can we look for, right? Of course, the next thing we look for would be the next support, right? Because if you know that the next support that you identify, and if it is broken, what does that tell you? It tells you that potentially, you know, there is even more selling pressure returning, and I don't want to be holding on to a stock that people are constantly wanting to sell, right? So based on this, what we can see is that around this, see right over here, about this 330, 335, this level here, just a couple of weeks back, this was when prices rebounded, right? So I would say if you want to give it a bit more chance, then I think this would be the level that you might want to take note of. If this level is broken, do you think that the likelihood of price continue to head down when it breaks this 335 is much higher, and potentially it can go back to the next lower support at the psychological $3 level? So we don't want to hold on to a losing stock, right? And not do anything about it. If it breaks support level, if we got 1 GD bearish signal come out, you don't do anything. We don't want that, right? We try to take active steps to at least manage your losses, right? But if prices, I mean, of course, you know, it comes to this level, and it, like that, right, it rebound back up to this 360. And if let's say, you know, assuming that we have a trading plan in place, right, remember when we enter, we need to have an entry price, target price, and stop loss price, right? This is potentially where the stop loss price would be based on your trading plan, correct? So if prices were to hit back up to a resistance based on the framework that we have, remember we always talk about when prices is near a resistance, there's nothing wrong for you to actually sell, right? Then that is something that you can consider as well. Okay, so take note of these two levels. 360 would be, I would say, now is the immediate resistance, right? And I think the temporary support, right, that potentially you can watch out for will be around the 335, 330 to 335 level. And if it does break, I think that is where it'll be good for you to have a stop loss plan in place. All right. So that would be for Yangzijiang Shipbuilding. Jeffrey, I hope you're still here and I hope you have taken note of some of the levels. All right. So without further ado, I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, and that would be this stock called Addvalue Tech. Addvalue Tech. I hope you're still over here. Ravivian, all right. Addvalue Tech, right? Can be at current price 0.134, right? 13.4. I think you're probably referring to 0.134. All right. What is the expected upside and risk? So you are looking to buy, right? To buy. Can we add? Add means, I don't know, maybe you have already, you want to add some more, is it? Or you don't have, I don't know, right? But if you're over here, let me know, is it like a brand new trade? You want to buy one or you bought previously, then now you want to buy some more, all right? If you can put in the chat, that would be good, all right? But let me go ahead to analyze Addvalue Tech. So let me just give a bit of understanding of what has happened in the technology sector in the Singapore market. I think some of you have been asking about UMS. I mean, later maybe we can cover, but I know in the technology sector in the Singapore market, AEM, Franken, UMS, all right, even Addvalue Tech right now, we have seen massive rally since the beginning of the year, right? That was where the tech sector was pretty much in play, all right? But over the past 2-3 weeks, maybe up to a month, that's where we've seen a bit of profit taking. In fact, some of those tech stocks though got triggered in terms of bearish signals coming out. All right, I think the play is pretty much shifting a little bit away from the tech. Not really. I mean, it's like, you know, it's not in play forever, but you know, over the past, I think, few weeks in the short term, we are definitely seeing a bit of profit taking, a bit of selling. Funds are kind of like rotating out of the tech sector in the Singapore market into kind of like the aviation, the airlines play as well. All right, so that's what we're seeing in terms of the banks as well, stronger. All right, but tech sector not really in favor over the past weeks. Okay, so nothing wrong. I mean, we can wait for a re-entry again. We can wait for them to be a bit cheaper again, to be a bit more attractive, or maybe to wait for more confirmations to get back in again, to ride them even further. But let's take a look at Addvalue Tech right now. So you can see for Addvalue Tech, well, the longer term trend, it is good, right? I mean, look at the red line and the blue line, right? Wow, the red line is going up, the blue line going up. So long-term trend has been up since like last year, very strong, no problem. Oh, no problem, long-term trend, no problem, right? But in terms of the short-term trend, look at the green line, it's up, flat up, flat up, flat up. And then now pointing down. So the short-term trend has turned down, all right? Not yesterday or today. I mean, since like last week, it already turned down a bit. So short-term trend is turning down. Now, let's go back to your question, Ravivan, all right? Can we add at current price? All right, well, I have a small quantity at 0.148. So maybe you bought in 148 last, maybe a few days back, right? Okay, let me just go ahead. So you bought in and okay, maybe went down a bit more, but let me go ahead to turn on very quickly in terms of the bullish and bearish signals. All right, for my 1GT Pro indicator, let's take it out. Pump. There we go. Maybe you can help me out here. Those of you over here, help me out here. Do you think should add or don't add? Right? Why for yes and for no? Why for yes and for no, guys? What you guys think now that I've already turned on the 1GT Pro indicator? I mean, you can obviously see the bullish and bearish signals. Why for yes and for no? All right, should we add or don't add? Yes or no? What do you guys think? Let's help Raviban out. Right? Can we add at current price 0.134? So maybe you got in at 0.148, right? And then now go down a bit more, should add or not, right? What do you guys think? Let me know, right? No, wait, let's see. All right, a lot of you are saying that we should, I mean, probably no, not yet. All right, Lilian, no. Some say yes, mostly no, 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 no. All right, very good, very good. I think the reason why you've said no is that I've already turned on the 1GT Pro indicator, right where you can see that we actually got a bearish signal popping out on the 19th of June, 19th of June, right over here. So I'm not too sure when you bought at 0.14. So by right, you should not have bought in. I mean, once we get a bearish red color signal, I think it's very important that we need to know, because people always think that, hey, when to buy, but sometimes it's good to know when not to buy, right? That doesn't make sense. I mean, it cannot be everything is so much buy. I mean, certain stock you must know, okay, some cannot buy on, some wait first, some put in the watch list, this one sit down first, all right? This one, okay, put in the watch list to buy, maybe potentially next few days can buy. But this one is like when we come up with a 1GT bearish signal, all right? I think probably should not have got in because it's a bit weaker. You can see the green line also started to turn down already, all right? If you tell me that you want to buy over here in like April, right? Go ahead lah. What that one you got bullish signal, pump, all the way up. You tell me you want to buy in like May last year, we got a bullish signal. December last year, another one. How many percent? I think that would be like 600%. 600%. I mean, from like May last year to March this year, 600 over percent. Now go ahead, right? You ride the uptrend, you get bullish signals, you ride it. But every time you get a bearish signal, then you'll be a bit more patient, no? All right, this is relax first. Now look at other stocks first. Wait for the time to come back in again. Once you get a confirmation, once you get a new 1GT bullish signal. Does it make sense, one? All right. So back to your question, can we add at current price? I wouldn't say to add because, I mean, first of all, we should not even have got in. All right. But now that you go down, you get in some more. What if, I'm not saying that you go down, but what if we break the 130? So I would say that 130, 13 cents would be a little bit of a support level. We have rebounded here, rebounded. Now we are like 133, which is still above, right? So hang still okay. I mean, you're still above. But what if the 0.130 support gives way, right? I mean, it might trigger another red color bearish signal, and then the green line will turn down even more. I mean, that's where we could see even more downside. So why do we want to buy? That's the thing. Why do we want to add this stock, right? So when we buy a stock, there must be a reason. Cannot be cheap. Cheap, I agree, it's cheap. I mean, from like 20 cents now become 13, 14 cents. Of course, it's cheap, but cheap cannot be a reason to buy, Makes sense, right? You must buy when there are signs of a reversal, when you get another bullish signal. So what you can do right now is that I think don't need to rush it. By right, you should not have got in. You would want to plan to stop loss by right. If you have got in, maybe not buy some more. But if you would like to add more positions to get in, well, if let's say we break 130, or maybe we go to 120, or maybe we go to 10 cents. I don't know, right? I mean, let's say over here, and we start to see some stabilization in prices, right? Price has to go down, maybe down a bit, and we stabilize a little bit, all right? And we start to see a bit of a strength coming back again, all right? Maybe the green 20 days moving average line that was going down, also start to point back up, right? Something like over here, you can see, right? Flat, then up. And then we get another 1GT bullish signal coming out like this one, take and paste over here, right? Then you say you want to buy, I would say go ahead. But now you ask me, it's like haven't yet, I mean, there's no confirmation to get back in, right? So probably not want to add right now, all right? We want to wait for confirmation of a reversal before entering positions, right? So certain stocks must know when not to buy. Not saying that you cannot buy forever. I don't know. Maybe like next month, I maybe say can already, but as of today, not yet because there's no confirmations, all right? Can? So that will be for Addvalue Tech. I hope that helps, all right? Can? Okay, so let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next stock.
All right. Okay, let's go. Here's one. Okay, go show that up. Okay, so DEX Lim 966 bought Hong Leong at 3.7. So that should be a while back already, sometime in May. Been holding till now. Is it time to really give this up? Wow, so sounds like it's a last ditch attempt already. Okay, so I think for Hong Leong Asia, definitely we saw weakness since sometime in mid of May when prices actually pull back from their $4 psychological level. For sure, we definitely saw weakness. Came down below that $3.50 support level, briefly tried to break above it, not quite able to, and then we started to see prices started to fall. And up to this point, we are trading at $2.74. So that's about $1 loss for you lah. $1 loss, and in percentages, that is 370 to right now about 26% loss. So maybe it's really time to cut losses. So let's just see what the chart says. I think firstly, we have to acknowledge that 20 days moving average have started to show weakness since the beginning of June already. So surely there is nearer term weakness. I mean, the price shows it, the moving average shows it. So we cannot deny, we cannot bluff ourselves that there is nearer term strength. Even today, we have a rather bearish candlestick showing up, right? No tail, nothing, just prices or just sellers taking over control pretty much today. Right, the 100 days moving average over the last few days have started to flatten out as well. And maybe even starting to point downwards. Right, maybe even starting to point downwards. The 20 days moving average crossing below that 100 days. So I mean, the good thing is, at least you're not asking if you should buy more. All right, so that's the last thing you should be thinking about. You're asking whether is it time to give this up. Right, so we are very close to that $2.60, $2.65 support level, right here. The support zone right here, where previously sometime in March, we had buyers coming in to accumulate. We are very close to that level. Now, of course, if you ask me back then here, sometime in June, I would say, hey, never mind, maybe DAX, maybe we sell first, we see if we are able to see any strength come back in, then we reposition ourselves. But I think right now we are past that. It didn't sell. We are close to that support level, the support zone, and we would like to see if there's any bargain hunters, any buyers coming in to defend that support level in the nearer term. Why? It's because tell me if this makes sense to you. If the prices continue to fall, the next thing you will see is the prices trading below that 200 days moving average. Right? That's the nearest or the most likely situation. And then what's going to happen to that 200 days moving average? It's going to start to flatten out as well. It's going to start to, of course, slope downwards as well. And the next thing you know, you might also see that $2.65 level give way. Right? That represents further downside for you. Right? This represents further downside for you. I'm not trying to scare you into selling it now or anything like that. But I would like you to just consider if $2.65 gives way, $2.60 gives way, maybe that is when it's time to enact your stop loss plan already. You'll be sitting on about 30% loss. Right now, it's sitting about 25% loss. Right, a little bit more risk you got to take in the nearer term because it didn't sell when the $3.50 level was broken. Losses will be a lot smaller back then. Right now, you can maybe want to just take note that if 265 level broken, you may want to have an exit strategy. Exit the position, reduce some exposure, reallocate your funds, protect that capital. A lot of ways to say it, but I mean the ultimate thing is, are you still being stuck there? But good thing you're not trying to buy more, not trying to go and say accumulate at $2.65 level. Hope it rebounds back to $3.50. I think that is not what I want to advocate for. All right, there is carries higher risk if you do that. It carries a lot more risk because the nearer term trend has started to show signs of weakness, and it has started sellers have started to take control already. So it's time for you to do the same to actually protect some of your capital. All right, so if that $2.65 level is broken, then definitely you have seen that I've previously drawn this line, that psychological $2 level will be the next key level already. So then that will be a lot more weakness or a lot more selling going on if prices were to hit towards that $2 level. Right, so definitely we can try to reposition ourselves. We should always think about trying to reposition ourselves if the prices rebound. Right, if the prices rebound, the nearer term trend actually picks up again, momentum actually comes in a little bit more, we can actually recapture that $3.50 level. Then yes, we can draw that target back up to $4. Right, so you're bought at $3.70. Maybe at that point of time, yes, it definitely looks good, right? Definitely looks good. $3.50 to the 20 days moving average pointing up, right? The 100 days moving average pointing up, 200 days moving average pointing up. That entry has nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with that entry as well. In your top of that you probably saw two 1GT bullish signal. Great, the entry was fine. Right? It's just that the trade didn't play out. Now we always want to have an exit plan, not just an entry plan. Like what Joey have just said, buying is easy. Selling is the harder part. Selling is the part that usually catch people off guard. Not willing to sell, having a sentimental value towards the stock, thinking it will hit higher. But when the trend change, we have to adapt to it as well, right, Dex? So I think right now, maybe you want to set up some alerts, all right? Set up some alerts maybe at about 257. Just right click, add alert at 257. Just leave it as price crossing 257 and just click on create. Right, click on create. So when prices cross 257, you are alerted. Come in, get into your Poems account. If you don't have a Poems account, I think Joey have send the link in the chat. You can click there to find out a little bit more on how to be a client as well. Right. So if you are able to do that, you are able to get alerts, get to your trading account. Maybe it's time to reduce some exposure for now, and then let's just see if we are able to actually see some strength or some interest come back into Hong Leong Asia again, and then we can maybe try to reposition ourselves subsequently. All right, so that is for Hong Leong Asia. I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next requested stock.
All right, thank you, Bavin. Okay, let me change the screen, and the next stock that I'll be covering will be this one called Sembcorp Industries, and it's by Jenny, right? Jenny, hi, I hope you're still here. You mentioned that you bought Sembcorp at 617. Would like to know if there's any further upside. Okay, so let's take a look at Sembcorp together, right? So to be honest, actually Sembcorp is not a stock that is really very nice to look at in over the past year. Like you can see the trend, not a very clear one. Sometimes really don't know what is it doing. And you see like bullish, bearish, just keep flipping up and down, right? But you mentioned that you have bought at 617, right? So now price is trading at about 636. Definitely you are sitting on some profits. We got a recent 1GT bullish signal that's still playing out, right? And you're thinking, whether is there any more further upside because if you've got further upside, then of course you want to think about holding longer to ride the uptrend, right? So that's very valid. Right, so that's usually that's what people think about but of course you also need to think about your stop loss because what if it doesn't go up, right? What if it continues this very unclear trend of up and down, for over the past year, right? I think the past year, about the past 1 year, right? It could also go down, right? It could go back into this very unclear trend, right? So I think right now, based on what we can see from the chart, right, you can see that around, I think maybe about this $6 to 605, right? That is where potentially we saw, buyers previously returning right over here, right? So if you're thinking about, managing your downside, of course, don't just think about the upside, right? Think about the downside as well. If prices were to, unable to hold, right, and break below these $6, right? Do you think that there is more chances of it heading back down to this support level at around the $5 and 60 cents, right, over here previously, as you can see, right? So if it cannot hold above the $6, then likelihood of it going back to this 550 will be quite high, right? Will be quite high. But right now, what we are seeing, right, over the past couple of days, right? I mean, today, what we are seeing is that price seems to break below this 640 again, but I don't know at the end of the day close, can it hold above this 640? Why? Because this 640 that I've drawn over here, right, I would say would be one of the very crucial level that you want to watch for to see whether price can hold firmly and sustain above this 640. Because this 640, right, as you can see here, back in November, actually October to November, this entire month, you can see multiple times tested this 640, tried to break above it, cannot break. Eventually managed to do it over here in April, went to the high of about $7, which $7 is a psychological level, selling pressure return. This is potentially where the next upside target could be, right? Because selling pressure came back, right? Went all the way up to $7, came back down again, break below this 640, and then here tested 640 as a resistance, cannot break, right? And then now this is where we are at, right? But if you ask me whether today can close above 640, that one I really don't know, right? I cannot tell you whether can it break above 640, but I think this is what we want to watch for maybe in the next couple of days or next week. Can it hold above this 640, right? Because if you were to take a look at it a bit more closely, right, I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me just, maybe I draw it for you. Can you see this or not? I don't know if you guys can see. I just draw this W. Can you guys see this W? So usually when we talk about charts, right, sometimes when we look at charts as a whole, this is what we call like a double bottom. I don't know if you got see before something like that, right? Like a M and a W, right? So if we see M, Usually if you see M, right, what happens is if it breaks below the neckline of the M, then and prices hold below the neckline, that is where we might see a reversal from an uptrend to a downtrend. But now it's the flip side, right? We see a W, right? We see a W and prices actually attempting to break above this neckline, which is the 640, right? So that's why the key thing that I mentioned would be to monitor whether can price continue to hold above this 640. Because if it does, then based on what we have seen previously, the potential upside target would be once again back towards this $7, which is a psychological level and which is where profit taking could once again happen, right? And also what we are starting to see now is that the trend, look at the moving average, is green above the red, above the blue, which is also the good sign, right? Because back here, right, I mean, we also got 1 GD bullish signal, 2 in fact. But you look at the moving average back then in March, right, it's not actually a ideal uptrend that we want to enter, right? So right now, I think when you enter at 617 already, I think it's fine because you already have a position, right? But just make sure to manage your downside. If prices were to break below the $6, have a plan in place to actually exit if prices were to, head back towards the $5.60. But if it managed to break and hold above the 640, then and price starts to trend up, right? Then you do know that maybe around $7, potentially that is where you can consider to take some profits, because if prices were to really hit up all the way there, all three moving averages likely could also be pointing up, right? The trading support could also move higher, and that is where you can actually make use of the trading support to actually ride the trend even further if it continues to head up even more beyond the $7 towards the $7.60. But step by step, right? Step by step, because now we are here, right? We don't think about here first because now we are here, okay? So that would be for Sembcorp Industry. Not saying that, we want to actually rush to get in now at this point in time because we are seeing some signs like the 1 GD bullish signal and the moving average, right? But I think 640 will be the very crucial level to actually watch out for, right? Because for those of you who are also thinking about entering, right, we want to think about entering when we have moving averages all aligning in the uptrend, 1 GT bullish signal and price breaking above a resistance and holding firmly above it. So that could be something to watch for, right? Definitely for Sembcorp Industry, because over the past many months, this is a stock that personally I don't really like because the trend doesn't look very clear. I would rather have a stock that is in a very clear uptrend and we are buying into strength. Okay, so that would be for Sembcorp Industry. Jenny, I hope you can take note of some of the levels over here. I will pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. I think very well said, Z. I think Z mentioned that, certain stocks is like, the trend might not be so clear. All right, the word is clear, right? So we rather focus on stocks whereby, it is very clear, right? It's like, a bit like up, down, they want to go, that kind of thing. Then I think, we rather skip it first, But no, when the trend is clear, like we get confirmations, everything is looking good, not just one thing stay good, but 2, 3, 4 things stay good. That's where I think we want to give a bit more weight to that particular entry setup for that particular stock. Does it make sense, All right, so that's what we're looking for. In terms of the one good trend strategy, in terms of this tool that we are using. Right now, let me go to share my screen whereby I want to cover the next stock that I think a lot of you were asking about, and that would be CSE Global. All right, so RLTKW, CSE Global sell. All right, so I think you're holding on to it. Should you sell? I'm not too sure what price you got in, but we have Joe Gibb as well. Multiple position on CSE Global. Average price around 141. 141. All right. So now it's about 133. Right. Advice on continue holding or cut loss. All right. Let's see. Raju bought CSE at 1.64. Please advise to hold or sell. All right. So later we take a look. So a lot of CSE Global. Let's see, Andy as well bought CSE Global 140, so some 160, some 140 plus, right? Can accumulate more or hold, or right? Should you buy some more, or should you get out? Now let's go ahead and take a look at CSE Global. So this is CSE Global. Well, I would say that CSE Global actually has been one of the stocks that we've been covering since like last year. If you are a client of mine in Flip Securities, we actually covered this stock. Look at this, right? Since like November last year. Even in fact in like June last year, we got a bullish 1 GT signal, right? The green line, short-term trend turn up, all the way up. So we got a bearish signal somewhere after 6 months, went down for like 1-2 days, but then new bullish signals appear. The short-term trend turn up, another bullish signal, and there we go, right? all the way up, right? So we have been covering this stock since last year. Why? Because, I mean, it came to our watch list. There were bullish signals being triggered, not just bullish signals, but trend indicators were all looking good. And of course, we have some positions. We rode it all the way up, 100%, 109%, all right, in about 6-7 months, 109%, all right, until we finally got a 1 GT bearish signal, right, popping up on the 4th of June, right, on the 4th of June, right? So when we get a bearish signal, I mean, after like 7 months, it was like bullish, green color, right? Then after 7 months, you suddenly get one red color bearish signal. How many percent? I mean, that would be like 109%. I think it's okay to take some profit, get out, don't need to be greedy lah. I mean, 100%, right? Get out first, take some profit, right? And wait for the time to come back in again, right? So if we had positions, right, that's where we want to get out, right? If we don't have positions and we see a bearish signal, right? So I think a lot of you are asking, should you get in? Should we accumulate more? All right, maybe you got in at 140s, very good, like, it went up, right? And then you see a bearish signal, should you take some profit? You should. I think it's good to take some profit, especially, after so many months, you get a red bearish signal, all right? Same thing, let's take a look at multiple positions, 141, right, got in, but same thing when we get a bearish signal, if you have got out, you could have saved a bit of money, all right? You still have made money when it was around 160, right? Or 158, 157, you get out, you would have saved some money as well, right? If we get a bearish signal as well, all right? So yeah, let's see, right? How many of you asking about CSE Global? Same thing, you got it at 164, all right? So if you have got in before the bearish signal appeared, but if you see a bearish signal appeared, then no choice, you would have a plan. You need to have a plan to get out, to reduce exposure, especially if the short-term trend is turning down. Look at this, right? So you can see the green line. The green line has been up, flat, up, maybe down a bit, and then up, but there was no bearish signals, right? But over the past 1-2 months, since like 4th of June, we actually got a bearish signal. And if you look at the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend, it also started to turn down, right? I mean, is it still down? It is still down. I mean, don't you bluff yourself. Up, miss up, down, right? So it is still down, right? But if you look at the long-term trend, right, this counter is actually okay. I mean, look at long-term trend. The red and blue line both pointing up. Very nice, right? No issue. The long-term trend is okay. But I think you agree that the short-term trend is down, right? Plus the red color bearish signal also come out. So I think in the short term, it just looks a bit shaky. All right, we don't want to rush to get in. We want to wait for more stabilization. We wait for more clarity. All right, in terms of some good support coming out, in terms of maybe a new bullish signal popping out over here. I don't know when, but let's say it come out and then I will be alerted. All right, and then we see the green line also start to like turn up. And then even better, that will be another confirmation that we are like maybe starting to see like what we have seen in October, November last year. I don't know whether it happened, but that is what we are looking for. But if it haven't come out yet, then we don't want to rush to get in and try to think that it will come out when it never come out. Make sense? I mean, we want to be patient. Right? So right now, I would say that in the short term, unfortunately, still a little bit weaker. Bearish signal is out. Short-term trend is down. In terms of support level, if I can draw for you a support, maybe we might see, seems like over the past 2 months, a bit of support coming out around the 125 to 130 level, right over here, right? That is where we have rebounded from. Doesn't mean you go to a support, means you just straight away go and buy it. I say no, right? I mean, that's where buyers have came out, right? Yeah, it might come out again, but normally what happens is that when we hit the support level, we will see some stabilization. We don't see at least a short-term trend, like over here. Now the green line is still down, but let's say if we hold over 125 to 120 the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, right? Then this green line will start to flatten out a bit. Does it make sense, right? Go up, then later then talk, right? But at least it never go down already, right? At least it start to flatten. Then if you want to maybe enter a bit around there, near the spot, okay, that's fine. But for us, we won't wait for that confirmation in terms of that bullish signal coming out. The green line turns up. I think that will be a much better, firmer confirmation of that reversal. Does it make sense? All right, Ken. So that's how we know when to get in, when not to get in, and know when to also get out. when the time comes. All right. And by the way, guys, I mean, I want to share with you guys because essentially, I mean, now what we're using is the One Good Trend Pro indicator. There's more advanced features like the trailing support, all right, the horizontal support, a bit more advanced stuff. But essentially, this is the Pro version. We do have what we call the light version, right? A simpler version whereby you could simply, in a click of a button, any stocks, any asset classes, those stocks that you're asking, you can go and do yourself also. Now, you can turn on and off these signals and see for yourself, right? Bullish and bearish signals in 2 seconds. You can turn on the moving averages right over here, the red, the green, and the blue line in 2 seconds as well, right? So the light version is, where you can turn on the signals and even the moving averages just to get a quick opinion on any stocks, any asset classes. So we do have a free 14-day trial for the One Good Trend Light Indicator. The link is right in the chat, right? So click on it, all right? Check it out, right? Hopefully you can turn it on your stocks that you're asking in case we never cover it, all right? And then you can also see whether it's good, not good, all right? Wait, be patient, right? I hope that it helps as well. So the link's right in the chat. Check it out, how you can get an access to a free trial of the One Good Trend Light Indicator, plus you get more than $3,000 worth of training bonuses for free, just for testing it out. Okay, the link is right in the chat. Okay, so this is CSE Global. I hope that helps. Those of you who are asking about it, so far in the short term, a little bit weaker, but let's see if the support comes out at 125, right? 130. If it stays above that, some signs of reversal comes back, great. If not, then you might want to be a bit careful as well. Cool. All right. So let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin.
All right. Thanks, Joey. All right. Joey said the One GT Light trial is right there in the chat. Click on it. Just get yourself, just help yourself to the trial, because I think a lot of those people that actually tried the trial, I think a couple of mentees that I spoke to that tried the trial, they really, really liked it, and then from there they moved on to a little bit more complex indicator. Okay, it's not a lot more complex. It's a little bit more sophisticated. There's a little bit more functions from there. But I think the One Good Trend Light Indicator will give you a very, very good start about what is this entire One GT framework about, because I think right now Joey is not running any webinars. So I think if you're looking for some additional help, the One GT Light trial is right there for you. You can cancel it anytime. All right, so just want to very quickly go on to the next stock here. All right, Pinky, the Miffy, welcome back. I know you have been joining us almost every week. Bought PC partner at $2.34. One GT show up, One GT bullish signal show up probably. Okay, let me just see. Yes, okay, it showed up at about 25th May, right? $2.34. So right about there, end of May, probably bought it. Showed up, should I hold and ride further? Thanks. All right, okay, so the short answer is yes. The long answer, I will just go through it right now. I think right now for PC partner, it looks like the shorter term trend aligned with the longer term trend, right? The green above the red, above the blue, still looking good, still showing strength. A little bit of weakness come in today. Why? We are very close to what we call a psychological support at that, psychological resistance at that $3 level. All right, the $3 level, normal for people who have, like yourself, have previously bought quite a while back, maybe even at the $2 level when they saw the One GT alerts. They may want to pick up some profits. They may want to reduce a little bit of exposure, take some profits, which is completely fine as well. All right, it's completely fine as well. So if you like to take some profits, you can also do that. But with the One GT bullish signal still in play, we have that 20 days moving average still pointing up, 100, 200 days moving average pointing up. We are approaching a temporary support as well. All right, temporary support here as well, about that $2.70 level. There's a temporary support there. Let me just change this line to a dashed line so you can see a little bit clearer. All right, so this is what we call a temporary support, where buyers could be accumulating on the dips. Right, buyers could be accumulating on the dips to ride that uptrend even further. Right, that psychological $2 level, it's quite far away already. So it may not be an ideal level to be watching out for at this point. But what do we want to look out for right now, Pinky? I think what we want to look out for would be Firstly, if prices were to be able to break above this level, where could that nearer term momentum bring us? Just do a little bit of projection right here, $2.70 upwards to about $3.30 first. All right, $3.30 first. But you want to be a little bit more careful. Why? It's because prices did not really consolidate as it moved up. Right? Notice that it did not really consolidate as it moves up. So you always have to have a plan. Always have to have a plan on what happens if prices slip down fast. Are you going to be able to get out? So I would say use that trailing support right now around that $2.39 level. Very close to your cost price, I know, at this current point in time. So you got two options. Right? Firstly, if that temporary support is broken, you may want to get out for some exposure also. Right? Reduce a little bit of position. The second one would be you're willing to take a little bit more risk. Use that trailing support as the prices continue to head higher. Start to shift your stop limit orders higher as well. So eventually, you get the logic, right? So eventually you'll be locking in more and more profits. And then eventually, if prices really U-turn, you're not able to hold on to the stock anymore, you'll be getting out with the stop limit order. That way, you'll be getting out with a lot more profits. And you don't risk too much of that upside as well. So you have been sitting on some good profits, it's not a position that you've been holding on to very long as well. So don't be too sentimental about it. If prices U-turn, get out first, reposition yourself. Right? But right now, I would say the trend still looks good. Right? The trend still looks good. You can continue to hold on to this counter. Maybe if we get close to the $3 level again, be over the next few days in the next week, $2.94, $2.95. You maybe want to set up some alerts if you want to take some money off the table first. I guess that is fine as well. But otherwise, have one more alert just above that $3 level, 303, 304. Get yourself that confirmation that prices are moving higher, moving to the next phase of their uptrend. And then from there, start to shift your stop limit orders up higher. Hopefully that makes sense, all right? Okay, so I think there's a very quick one for PC Partner Group. So far, still looking good to me. All right, pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock for you guys. Z?
All right, thank you, Bervin. Okay, so the next stock that I will be covering, right, will be by, let me see where's the comment. Steven, I think it's Steven, let me find the comment. Okay, here, Steven, right, morning team, I have some SBS Transit for around $3. Should I sell some now as it is down from the peak recently? Okay, so let's talk about SBS Transit, right? So SBS Transit now trading at about $3.69. You mentioned that you bought at $3, so definitely you are sitting on about 23% profits, right? That's great, right? That's great. And because I think over the past week, you see that price reach the high around 390, then you start to come down, then now you're asking the question, whether should you sell some, right? So that's a very valid question, all right? But let's take a look at this in a more holistic perspective, right? First thing first, when we talk about trend, right? Trend, does it look good? We have 283 of you guys here, right? Maybe you can help Steven out and help me out, right? What do you guys think about the trend for SBS Transit? Do you think it still looks good? Uptrend? Let me know in the chat, right? Let me know in the chat. What do you guys think? Is the trend looking good? What do you guys think of this? Not good, good, uptrend in tech? Yeah, let me know, right? Let me know. So you can also see, how many of you guys have been listening to what we have been saying, right? Over the past, I think 1.5 hours as well. Okay, let's see. Gerard say up. Celia says good. JT, very good. Ray is up. Chan uptrend. Okay. All is generally up. Good. I hope nobody say it is a downtrend because this is clearly not a downtrend All the moving averages is actually pointing up. All right. And in fact, we also have 1 GT bullish signal that's actually still playing out. So actually, I think SBS Transit, if you ask me comparing to just now, what did I cover? Just now I cover Sembcorp Industries, right? You ask me about which one I pick. Of course, I will pick the one that's in the uptrend. The uptrend that is clearer, right? Okay, so then now back to Steven, right? Steven, let me pull out Steven's comment again. Steven's comment is over here, right? So the question is, should he actually sell some now and it is down from the peak recently, right? So based on this, we can, it's very clear that 390 definitely is the resistance mark, right? Because this is where selling pressure actually happened, right? But then we look towards the support level, right? Because support level is potentially last time, over the past months, right, we see buyers return, right? And that level is being supported because buyers are willing to buy at that level, right? So if those levels cannot hold, and if those levels were to be broken, then that is where perhaps you want to take some steps to protect your profits, right? So right now, we do see there is one over here at about 360, right? I think 360 here. Can you see this? Selling pressure very strong, very long upper shadow. Break above it, right here. Once again, this is being tested as a support, right? Can you see this candlestick? Even though it's red, right? But look at the long lower shadow. It's totally opposite of this, right? But both are actually, in fact, testing the 360 level right there, right? And then, unfortunately, 1GD bearish signal came out, broken down, and then price have been kept below this 360 as a resistance from May all the way to June, right? Before a 1GD bullish signal emerged again, break above it, and now it is what we call a immediate support. Right, make sense? So I hope you guys have been following, right? So from here all the way to March, that is how we actually, spot where is the support level at, right? So 360, I would say, will be the immediate support level. And then, of course, very clearly, I think this 340, I believe a lot of you guys can also see that, right? And you can spot for yourself when you're looking at the chart as well, that this 340, it is a support level where buyers actually came in to support the prices, right? So now we know 390 resistance zone, 360 that will be a support zone, and 340 that could be another support zone, right? So I think this 340 will be the very crucial one and will be the key support zone maybe for Steven to take note, and also for those of you maybe who have been holding on to SBS for a really long time last time, right? I think this $3 definitely, 340, sorry, this 340, if it is broken, that is where perhaps you might want to think about protecting your profits first, right? Protecting your profits first, because if prices were to come down like that to 340 and break below this level, do you think that the green line will still continue to point up? Most likely not. It will probably flatten out or even start to show signs of it pointing down. And also, we may even have, I think very likely, we will have a 1GD bearish signal. So I'm not sure if Steven over here and also the rest of you, right, have the this indicator that is on your screen, right? But if you guys want to try out and see, if let's say a 1GD bearish signal actually comes out, and if a bearish signal come out, it means that there is more selling pressure, right? And if you're sitting on profits, you might want to take active step to protect your profits, right? So I think there is the trial, right? The 1GD trial indicator, which I think Joey just now has mentioned about, whereby you can test drive it, right? So if I turn on the trading support right now, you can see that price is actually just right above the trading support. As long as it's still holding above the trading support, I think it's okay, right? If it breaks below the trading support and, like I mentioned, right, below the 360, very likely I think we'll get a 1GT bearish signal, right? So if you want to see the signal yourself and get alerted to these signals, then test drive the 1GT light trial for free, and then you are able to see the signal as we see it over here. All right. So for Steven, right, I think right now, if prices, as long as it is able to hold above the trading support or above the 360, I think you are still fine, right? You are still fine. And if prices is able to hit back to this 390, I think there is nothing wrong for you to take some profits. So I'm very glad that your question, right, you asked, should I sell some? Not sell all, right? Some. And I think that's the keyword, some, because the uptrend is still good now, right? Short term is up, long term is up. 1GT bullish signal is actually still playing out. So like what I mentioned, if we do see a 1GT bearish signal coming out, which indicates that there's more selling pressure, then that's where you want to take active step to protect some profits, right? But if it breaks this 340, which is the crucial horizontal support level, then that is where I think it will be good. $3, protect your profits, right? At least you still manage to keep about 13% profits, all right. So that would be for SBS Transits. I think the link for the 1GT light trial is already in the chat. So feel free to click it and to test drive the trial, right? Because by the way, anyway, it's free. Okay. So that would be for SBS Transit. I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next Singapore stock.
All right, thank you so much. Right, so yeah, the link is right in the chat, guys. As I say, right, if you want to go ahead to test drive the one good trend light indicator, whereby you could turn it on any stocks. There'll be trainings provided, more than over $1,000 worth of trainings provided to guide you how to pull out the indicator. All right, the one good trend light indicator on the chart, or not just the stocks, But on any asset classes, right, you can easily do it. We have all the trainings provided. It's free to test drive it, all right? Check it out, right? Check it out. Okay, now, let's go ahead to cover the next stock, and that would be by Melina. Melina, I hope you're still over here, right? I have a position in UMS at an average cost price $2.60. Price has been going down, all right, but the short and long-term trends are up. Is this a good time to add? So you've got in, all right, and you're asking if it's time to add some more, to buy some more, right? Because you got in deep, but you maybe want to buy some more, right? Let's take a look at it, right? So you mentioned that the long-term trend and short-term trends are up. Well, I would say that the long-term trend, 100 days moving average, red line and the blue line, indeed, the long-term trend is up. But the short-term trend, you mentioned that it is up. But let's take a look at the short-term trend. So the short-term trend, I mean, you tell me in like January, February, March, up. I would say it's up. But now, if you ask me the short-term trend, the green line is not up, it's sideways. Correct. So we don't need to bluff ourselves. Up means up, down means down, sideways means sideways. So I would say the short-term trend is unfortunately not up, right? Here then it's up, right? I mean, like April, May, that one you say up, correct. Okay, but short-term trend, unfortunately, it is not up. It is also not down. I mean, I would say sideways law. Does it make sense, one? All right, Melia, I hope that helps. So basically, we must be very clear. All right, up means up, down means down, sideways means sideways. All right, Ken. So long-term is up, but short-term it is, I mean, it was up and then it turned a bit sideways. All right, Ken. Now, let's take a look at, should you actually think about entering this stock again, buy more? All right, when is a good time to add, or maybe you want to be patient? Let's take a look, right? So you can see that for UMS, I would say that we have seen a bit of a sideways movement. The green 20 days moving average line has turned from up to sideways. And when it goes sideways, it means that the short-term consolidation has begun, all right? And as it consolidates sideways, we can most definitely draw what we call a horizontal resistance level. So it seems to me that $3 would be a little bit of a horizontal psychological resistance level. Every time we hit it there, it was like in May, we touched, we came back down, we tried to near it like last week, and then we came back down again, right? So $3, very key. I think that's where we could see some selling coming back again. So if you want to take some profit, I mean, you've got in some, but let's say if you do, near the $3 to $2.90 something or what, right? You want to take some profit near that $3 because you got in at like, $2.60, right? So near $3, you would make a bit of money, right? Nothing wrong to take some profit there because that's where selling can come back. Again, what about the support? Well, I would say support that came out around, seems like around $2.40. I mean, look at it quite clearly. It was like up and then down and up and then down and coming down again, right? So $2.40 with what we call a support level, all right? So the range is $2.40 to $3, which is like 60 cents. 60 cents range. I also don't know what it's doing. Up, down for like, for the past like 1 over month, right? So 60 cents range, that $2.40 could be where I would say some bargain hunting can come back again. Now we are $2.54. So yeah, still a bit far, but if it nears $2.40, buyers that came out there previously last month, not last month, but about 2-3 weeks back, they could potentially come out again. Now, let me go ahead to turn on the 1GT bullish and bearish signals on the One Good Trend Pro indicator right over here to see if we can get other confirmations, whether should you be patient, should you wait, should you rush to get in now? Let's find out, right? Let's turn on. As I say, test drive the One Good Trend light indicator. The link is right in the chat. You can just turn on and see for yourself. All you see is what I see. Same, okay? Pump. There we go. All right. And there we have it. So this is UMS, right? You can see UMS. We had a couple of like bullish signals coming out. That was like in December, in January, we got another one. In April, we got another one. It became faster, all the way up. So this was one of the stocks that actually we have been covering since like beginning of the year. In fact, one of the very strong technology stock in the Singapore market. We have been covering since January, February. Those of you who are clients in Philip Securities, you can check our WhatsApp. We have been covering it, right? Not too bad, right? Very strong rally from the very first bullish signals all the way to the bearish signals appearing 120%, right? In about 5 months, all right? 120% gain in 5 months. So you can see that we actually got a 1GT bearish signal being triggered, right? After about 5 months. So normally when that happens, I think we can take some profit, get out, right? Don't need to rush to get it again, right? Get out first. I mean, After 5 months, it was like green, 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 no problem, right? But why suddenly a bearish signal come out, right? It means something. It means that there's some selling coming back. All right, doesn't mean it's going to crash or it'll go all the way down. No, right? Doesn't mean that, but it just means that a bit of selling have came back already, right? And then the green line also, was like going up, then also like go sideways, right? So take some profit, get out, maybe wait for a re-entry again when it's a bit more stable, when we have a bit more positive or bullish confirmations, right? So a bearish signal have got triggered. So I think back to your questions, Melina, right? Should you add again? Well, I would say, we got a 1 GT bearish signal popping out, right? I mean, there's no new green bullish signal up yet as of today. I don't know whether next week or next month have or not, but as of today, don't have, right? So we probably don't want to add right now until we get some confirmations, right? But if you really want to do it, well, I would say, as I say, 240 is where we have seen some buying pressure coming back. All right, it did rebound from that level, I would say about 3 weeks back. So that could be where some bargain hunting can appear again, right? But just take note, right? Because there is no confirmation, there's no bullish signal coming out, right? If you are kind of like just rushing to get near a support because it rebounded there previously, like 3 weeks ago, well, sometimes you can rebound good, but my question to you is that what if you don't rebound, right? What if it breaks below the 240, right? And yeah, if we do break below the 240 support, we may even see a second red bearish signal coming out, right? Then my question is that, do you want to just hold all the way down? Or do you have a plan to get out, to stop loss? You tell me you have a plan, I would say go ahead. But you tell me I don't have a plan, I will probably hold all the way down. Then I think you better don't buy. Make sense? All right, so you need to have a plan, right? So of course, nobody know whether you'll break 240 or not, but I mean, as of today, it's still above, so it's fine, right? But if it does go below 240, not so good. That's where I would say maybe potentially a new bearish signal might appear. The green line that is going sideways may start to turn down, like some of the stocks we have seen, right? And then we might go down and down, and then we don't want to just hold all the way down, right? We want to have steps to protect our capital, right? Protect our profits, especially if we have got in previously. All right, we want to get out, right? We want to lock in and secure the profits, right? And just wait for, I think so far what we've been talking about is that we want to wait for confirmations to get in, all right? Certain stocks is to be patient, certain stock is to get ready, right? Certain stock is cannot run, all right? Not now, maybe not in the next few months, right? I would say this stock probably just, going sideways for now, taking a breather after the massive 4-5 months of a run up, 120%. So maybe taking a rest. If it looks bullish again, if we break the $3, we get another bullish signal, we may look at it again. But right now, I think sideways in the short term. The range is $2.40 to $3. Cool. All right. So that is for UMS. I hope that helps, Melina. All right. So let me pass on the mic to Bervin to cover the next Singapore stock. Bervin.
All right. Thanks, Joey. Okay. So before I cover the next stock, I'd just like to run through some of the stocks and index that Joey have covered, because I saw some of you guys are requesting the same stocks that we have actually already covered, so we do not want to cover them twice. But not to worry, after this entire live stream ends, there will be a replay. The replay will be available on YouTube. You can rewatch the replay, all right, to actually find out a little bit more about those stocks that you are asking. Okay, so first stock, Joey started off with covering the Straits Times Index, the STI, followed by one of the stocks that had just recently woken up, Singapore Airlines, then followed by DBS Holdings, Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, Addvalue Tech, Leong Asia, Sembcorp Industries, CSE Global, PC Partner, SBS Transit, and then Joey just covered UMS as well. All right, so next up, I think I will cover one more of the bank stocks. Simon is asking, can you help look at OCBC? Bought it at $21.72, sold at $24.60. Now saw weakness under the $25 level. What would be a good re-entry level to buy or accumulate more? All right, Simon, thanks so much for giving us so much context. I mean, really appreciate it. I mean, it helps us to know what situation you are coming in from. All right, so you have already previously bought, sold, take some profits. Great, fantastic. Congratulations on that. All right, now you're looking for a re-entry. And right now prices are just very close to the level they actually sold it at. You sold it at $24.60. Right now it's trading at $24.68 before the lunchtime break. Right, so I think the most important thing right here will be to take note that recently the $25 psychological level was rejected. Rejected meaning to say that sellers actually came in to control as we approach that $25 level. Look at that, past few times we attempted to break above it. Next day we just open and then went below it, open, went below it. So I think that $25 level is a very, very key level that sellers are looking to take some profits at, which is like you, right? You sold close to the $25 level, $24.60, you actually sold some of it, right? The immediate support level, right? You want to take note, you may want to write this down as well. The $24 level. The $24 level may give you a potential entry to get in. I mean, we have some clients that say, hey, want to wait for $23 to get in, because I do not know whether prices are going to be heading down towards the $23 level for you to actually position yourself to get in. So a couple of levels that I think people are really actually looking out for. Above $25, if there is a confirmation of a breakout, prices break and not just break and hold above the $25 level the next day. I think that would be a very, very good sign that potentially prices are able to find a new higher support. It could be opening that upside towards that $26 resistance level. All right. Otherwise, you may see prices potentially retracing back towards that $24 level, where it could be an opportunity or a window of entry for you as well. Maybe I will draw 24 upwards to about maybe 24.20 would be the immediate buy zone for you. An immediate buy zone for you. Why? It's because that 20 days moving average is trading right around that level as well. If I were to turn on, let's just see very quickly that trailing support level. The trailing support level is right around that $23.50 level. Right, 23.50 is right where prices or right where that trailing support level is at. So that gives a good buffer. A good buffer. I mean, of course, if you like to accumulate close to that trailing support level, great. But again, I'm not too sure if that is going to be able to happen, right? And then if we break below that trailing support level, then of course it's not too good already. Why? Is currently we are sitting on 2-1 GT bullish signal. The bullish play still in action. We see a little bit of a pullback. Great. If we are able to see something like this happening, let me just circle it for you here. Right, the same thing, prices pull back to that trailing support and then going up higher again, finding the next higher phase. Great. Then if we are able to see that pattern replay itself, you would be able to potentially time yourself or position yourself for a good entry around that $24 level, riding prices upwards to $26 again. And then if then you want to take some profits again, you want to lock in some of your gains, I would say go ahead, do so. Nothing wrong to actually do that. But if you like to continue to hold on to ride out that exposure, ride out that momentum, I think OCBC has been performing rather well this year. I think we just take since the start of the year, right? Since the start of the year, any day up to today, that is already a 28% gain. Very respectable gain for a blue chip counter. I think the upside into the next half of this year is likely still possible as long as we see stable, stable and what do you call it? Prolong, or not say very prolong, stable and good consolidations coming in, like a step up into the next phase. All right, so I think a very quick one for OCBC, still looking good so far. Maybe just want to write down the 24 to 24.20 level as your buy zone, with some alerts set up above the $25 level as well, just to get alerted if prices find a new support level. All right, Simon, pass the time now to Z to cover the next requested stock. Z?
All right, thanks, Bervin. Okay, so the next requested stock will be by Li Han, right? Hi, Joey, Z, and Bervin. For Siong, I bought it at average price 2.95. Now price retrace a bit back to 320. Should I continue to ride the wave or to even consider to accumulate, right? Okay, I think maybe Li Han, you have been attending our Ask Me Any Stock, or maybe you are even a client of Joey, right? That you even asked this question, right? Because I think this is a very good question, right? Thinking about continuing to ride the wave or even about accumulate, and you never ask about selling, but you are asking this question, I believe, because you also acknowledge that the trend actually is pretty strong, right? If we look at Siong right now, you can see that Siong uptrend is very much intact, right? And in fact, we got 1, 2, 3 1GD bullish signal that is still in play. And by the way, I think for those of you here who are not a client of Joey yet, I think just last week, right? I think Joey has also sent out this stock as part of, you know, a service to all of his clients for a trading note, right? And as actually every day Joey will send out like trading ideas on WhatsApp broadcast for free, right? For free to clients that are under him. And that's part of the service, right? That we actually provide to our clients to add value to our clients as well. So if you are not part of the community yet and you like to receive such services, I think the link is already in the chat for you guys to actually, you know, to consider whether if you want to be a client of Joey under Philip Security to receive such services, right? So back to Siong, right? So Siong right now, like I've mentioned, uptrend definitely still very strong, right? And 1, 2, 3 1GT bullish signal that's still in play. And I think right now, I think what you have also mentioned, right, in your comment is that price retrace a bit back to the 320, which I have also drawn the support very clearly at this 320 right over here. Because 320, right, actually from April to June, price was just consolidating sideways within a 20 cents range. As you can see, from $3 to about this 320, it was just consolidating sideways for 1, 2, 3 months, for about 2.5 to 3 months, right? It finally managed to break above this 320 resistance, turning it to become a support. And over the past 2 weeks, as you can see, right over here, this was where prices managed to continue to hold above this $3.20. So I would say that this 320, right, basically what we usually call it will be if prices were to break out above a range, this level here will be what we call a breakout, right? A breakout new higher support, right? Because this 320 has indeed turned to become what we call a higher support instead of a resistance, right? Resistance turning to become a support. So let me change this to green, right? Okay, so right over here, right? I think this is where we are at in terms of if you are thinking about accumulating, right? Usually we want to accumulate where accumulate near support zone, right? So I think right over here we are actually right in the, you know, support zone, right in the support zone. And in terms of target, because the price have been consolidating sideways within the 20 cents range for at least 2.5 months, right? And if we do a projection up, the next upside target would be towards the 340 based on the range projection, right? But as you guys know and about Siong, right, it is more of a defensive stock. So it wouldn't move as fast as prices that you have seen in like bank stocks and things like that because it can move pretty slowly. So some people like, some people don't really like because some people, they want to have faster growth. They will probably look at like what Bervin just covered, which is OCBC Bank, right? But this is more of a defensive stock. So there could be periods of time that it can just consolidate sideways as we have seen over here. Right, so I think that for Lihan, right, because your average cost price is 2.95, definitely you are sitting on profits, right? Let me see, 2.95 to where you're at, you're sitting on about 9-10% profits, right? So I think nothing too much to worry about as long as the trend is actually still intact. Bullish signal is actually still playing out. There is no bearish signal that comes out. I think there's nothing wrong to actually continue to ride the trend and even thinking about accumulating more. But of course, if price head up, right, rebound and head up towards a next resistance around this $3.40 based on the projection. And if you were to ask, is it okay to actually take some profits? And you know, we usually always advise that, nothing wrong to take some profits near resistance zone when it reaches that level, right? To lock in some profits, you know, so that you are able to manage your emotions better as well. If you lock in some profits, you're also happy, right? Right? So this, I think, so far, definitely Siong still looking pretty strong and pretty good. Nothing too much to worry about at this point in time. And in terms of accumulating on the dips, right, I think right over here we are at like the support zone. But for those of you who are not in any position and you are thinking about positioning yourself for entry, right, definitely also think about your stop loss plan, right? Whether are you thinking of placing your stop loss slightly below the 320, right? If it breaks, do I want to get out, or you want to be a bit more aggressive, right? Your risk appetite is larger and you want to place your stop loss slightly below the $3. So either way works, right? But at the end of the day, it really depends on your own individual risk preference. But make sure to also have a stop loss plan in place to protect your downside. Okay, so those are the levels. I think the very crucial level will be $3. Then immediate support at about $3.20, and the upside target we are looking towards based on the projection around the $3.40. All right, so that would be for Siong. I'll pass my time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the next one, and that would be by Betty. Betty, I hope you're still over here, right? What should I do? I still holding it for CNMC Goldmine. You bought at 1740. I think maybe it's like 140. Is it? Maybe it's a typo error, or maybe like 170 or 140. All right, Betty, if you're still here, can type in the chat, right? But let's take a look at CNMC Goldmine right now. So if you got in at like maybe 170 or 140, I'm not too sure, but you can see quite clearly that we actually had some bearish red signals popping out. So I'm not too sure whether you got in when when the bearish signal had popped up already, or it could be like at the beginning of 2026 where we actually got some bullish signal. So if you got in over here in like January, February, I say no problem now, because that one was quite good, right? All the way up, we actually got bullish signals. It went all the way up until we got a bearish signal, 46%. Right. That's you want to know when to get out and lock in your profits lah. But if you have got in like after the bearish signal got triggered, then by right should not have got in lah. You get what I mean? Of course, if you have the same tool like us, you will be alerted not to get in, because you see a bearish signal. Plus, you look at the green line, the green 20 days moving average line is also turning down, right? Down. Now still down also, right? So we don't want to rush to get in, right? When the bearish signal is out, not 1 plus 2, plus the short-term trend still down, right? We don't want to rush to get in, all right? So as I say, guys, that's how a tool like this can help you to be a bit more systematic, to know what to do, what not to do, when not to rush to get in, right? So, like for now, if you tell me to get in, I probably wouldn't want to get in, because like, why do you want to get in? Right? Please don't say cheap. I mean, it's cheap, but it was like 180 to 170, 150 cheap. You can buy 130. 130 cheap now become 109. 109 cheap. I don't know whether next week $1. All right. So it's been cheap like for the past 3-4 months already, right? So we don't buy because it's cheap, or we buy because of confirmations that it is looking strong. All right. We buy into strength. All right. That's what we buy into, right? Like this, pump. Okay, go ahead. Previously as well. All right, we got a bullish signal. All right, the green line turn up, long-term trend up. You want to buy, go ahead. How many percent? All right, until you get a bearish signal, you get out 138%. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, and that's when you want to buy. But now we get bearish signal, so we probably don't want to buy, right? Now, so you mentioned that, what should I do? You've been holding it, got in 1740. Is it CNMC Goldmine? This is CNMC Goldmine. Maybe it's another company, all right? But this is CNMC Goldmine. It's like the one listed in the Singapore Exchange, right? It's like $1.09, right, Betty? Right? Not too sure whether maybe it's another counter that you're looking at, but you mentioned 1740, but now the price is like $1.09. All right. Okay, but never mind. Let me just go to analyze this. All right. But so you can see that when we get a bearish signal, let's say you've got in, well, we always want to have a plan to cut the position, right? To reduce our exposure, to cut loss, right? Because if you've got in here, right over here, and you rode the upside, and imagine if you didn't get out, your profits from like 40% would become almost back to square one, right? So we must also know when to get out, all right? Now, I would say that for CNMC Goldmine, if I can just go ahead to draw this very strong support level, I think the $1 is a very key psychological support. We are pretty much back to where we were from October to December last year, right? So just be careful. I mean, for those of you who are looking at CNMC Goldmine, if the $1 were to break down, all right, I'm not saying you will, but I mean, if it really break down and then we get another red bearish signal, not so good, right? We could really see even more downside in this stock, all right? So that's where you want to plan to really get out, to reduce exposure. Of course, don't go and buy some more. All right? So I hope that helps, Betty. All right, this is CNMC Goldmine. All right, I'm not too sure which company you're looking at, but the price is $1.09. Maybe you are looking at another stock, right? But Betty, just check CNMC Goldmine. The code is 5TP. Okay, so this is CNMC Goldmine. Let me pass on the mic to Levin to cover the next stock. Levin?
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so next one. Let's do this one. I think it's been a while since I looked at Venture as well. VO3 is the stock code right here. Monica, hopefully you're still here with us this morning. Alright, so thinking of buying venture now at 17.15. Okay, please comment. Okay, pre-lunch close was 17.14. Alright. What really stands out to me is it is very, very close to that trailing support right now. It's very, very close to the trailing support, which is where a lot of people like to buy. But notice this one here, the 20 days moving average. There is nearer term weakness present. There is nearer term weakness that has been building up since the beginning of June. Now we are at the end of June already. So all this while, we have been trading slightly lower on each day, and now eventually we are trading very close to that $17 support level, that $17 psychological level. I think that is where you potentially could see a similar situation play out, right? Prices go up, come down, then hit up higher again. So if you just take this, put down here like that. This could be a potential path of the price that could be playing out in the nearer term. So what is that resistance? I would say the resistance is definitely here, 1850. 1850 is where sellers have previously came in, not once, not twice, 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so Monica, I don't know what is your plan, but if you are trying to formulate a trading plan, maybe my suggestion is if you're looking to get in close to that 17.15 level, I think that definitely that is where a buy zone is usually at as well. 17 to maybe 17.20, potentially you could accumulate some positions there, but have a plan. If it goes up to 18.50, 18.47, 18.45, are you going to sell? Are you going to take some profits right there? Still a very respectable upside, from this current level all the way up to 17.45, still about 7-8% trade or 17% profit right there. Not too bad. But what happens if the prices break down? What happens if prices break down? Because we're experiencing near-term weakness, right? But we still have the 100 days, 200 days moving average pointing up. If prices break down the $17 level, you may see the next immediate support around that $16.50 level, right around that 100 days moving average. So I think if prices were to break down, a couple of levels you want to take note. First one is to have a stop limit order under that $17 level. The other one would be, if you can afford that a little bit more risk, under that $16.50 level. So either way, the risk to reward still looks pretty okay, especially if your plan is to get out under that $17 level. As long as we still continue to see that longer term trend continue to play out, I think that's great. But we want to see a little bit more stabilization coming in for that 20 days moving average. We want to start to see it move a little bit sideways. Maybe not even need to point up, just sideways first. Then maybe that sideways consolidation or that consolidation within that 17 to 1850 range can continue, which means you have an opportunity for a little bit of range trading. So of course, if that 1850 level gives way, it will be a new up phase, right? A new phase in the uptrend. The higher target, I think, can be drawn upwards to that $20 psychological level. Very, very good. Very, very good upside so far. So I think this is one of the counter that I think can be potentially put into your watch list. Wait for a little bit of stabilization. Set some alerts. Maybe even a new 1GT alert. So you can add alert instead of using just a normal price. You can in fact use the 1GT indicator. So this doesn't only apply for the 1GT Pro indicator. If you're using the 1GT Lite indicator, you are also able to use a technical alert. Meaning to say, if there's any new buy or sell signals, any new 1GT bullish or 1GT bearish signals, you will be alerted towards it. So give yourself the chance to try the 1GT Lite indicator. Monica, I don't know whether you have the 1GT Lite or Pro indicator already. If not, just click the link in the chat to find out a little bit more on how the 1GT Lite indicator works. I think Joey have provided a ton of training for just the 1GT Lite indicator. I think there's a lot of value there. If you haven't tried it out, please do yourself a favor. try it out. All right, so far I think very good for Venture Corp. I mean, thanks for sharing this. I think potentially we could be heading towards a consolidation range, potentially potentially a position trade could be available. All right, so I think I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next requested stock. Z?
All right, thanks, Bobby. Okay, let me switch the screen. The next one would be by April. April, I hope you are still here. It's about MarcoPolo Marine, right? You mentioned that you bought at 0.189 and price have been dropping until 0.133, and then you're asking whether if there's a 1GT bearish signal now. So April, if you don't have the indicator, right, I think you can test drive the 1GT light indicator so that you can actually see this 1GT bearish indicator on your own as well, right? You don't have to come every Friday, ask us. Then maybe you see this 1GT bearish signal actually came out actually about 3 weeks ago lah. So if you actually have this indicator, probably you will already see it by then, right? So can test drive it, right? Anyway, it's free. Test drive it, and then that's where you can see what we are seeing. Okay, even before our every Friday Ask Me Any Stock Live. All right, so let's talk about MarcoPolo Marine right now. Okay, so for MarcoPolo Marine, you mentioned you bought at 0.189. Let me see. 0.189. Oh, you bought somewhere near to the high. Okay. And then now definitely you are sitting on some losses at 0.189 I see to where we are at now. Oh, okay. Down about 30%. Okay, understand. So now you are thinking what should you potentially do, right? Okay, so then let's talk about some of the levels that perhaps you might want to take note of lah. Because by right, when we think, okay, first thing when we think about entering, usually when we think about entering, we want to enter near a support zone. The nearer to the support zone, right, the better it is. Why we always say buy near support zone, right, is because when you buy near a support zone, you usually tend to have a better risk to reward ratio as well. Okay, and you can see over here for MarcoPolo Marine, right, from December all the way to June, it was just up, down. It was in a sideways consolidation. You can see that the support, right, that I have, drawn, the range that I've drawn, right, is about this $1.30 to about this $1.70, about this 40 cents range that prices have been kind of like just up and down within this zone, right, for at least 3, 4, 5 months, right, and prices eventually broke above this 170 with the second 1GT bullish signal coming out, right? So at that point in time, it could be a breakout strategy, right? Typically, when people actually talk about breakout strategy, it will be when price break above a resistance and then turning that resistance to become a new higher support, right? Then that would be a new support zone, right? So potentially a better entry would be nearer to a support zone, right? Rather than chasing the high, right? When prices actually subsequently gapped out and you see that, hey, prices go up already, you scared, you miss out. And then usually when people get in at that point in time, right, with the mentality or the mindset of fear of missing out, the keyword is FOMO, right? And typically a lot of times people might get stuck at a high or they might be a bit emotional because if prices were to come down, then the emotions might cloud their judgment and they don't really know what to do. Right, so that typically could happen, right, if we were to get in, without a trading plan in place. All right, so by right, when the 1GT bearish signal come out over here, right, when you have entered, we should have a stop loss plan in place slightly below the breakout level, which is this 170 because 170 was a resistance turned to become a support, and if we have a stop loss level here, probably here you would have gotten out and here you wouldn't have been thinking about this stock right? Maybe if you look at this stock, then you think like, wow, hey, lucky you get out already, right? And you wouldn't be in this situation now thinking about whether should you get out or what should you do, right? So by right, we should have a stop loss plan, below the support, right, below the new higher support, in case the breakout doesn't play out, right? In case it is a false breakout, at least we manage our downside. And also on top of the fact that 1GT bearish signal start here, right? It's a new 1GT bearish signal. 20 days moving average has also started to show signs subsequently of it pointing down, right? So now we are here at 1.33, right? It could have saved you from here to here about another 20% downside. Right, but never mind. Now we are here, right? So what can we potentially do, right? What can we do about this, right? So just now, like I mentioned, $1.30. I think that would be the range that it was actually trading since like December all the way to June, right? So right now, price is heading. Can we see price is actually heading to this level? 20 days moving average is pointing down. what does it mean? It means short-term weakness is present, right? Is it still pointing down? Definitely it is still pointing down in terms of the short term. What about the longer term? You see that the 100 days, the red line is actually tapering out and kind of like going sideways. If I were to zoom in big enough, can you see they start to show some signs of weakness? Perhaps if it continues to head lower, this one also start to show signs of it pointing down, right? So not so good, right? Even the long-term trend also starts to show weakness already, right? So this, I think $1.30, right, will be a very key or crucial support level that April perhaps you might want to think of in terms of having a downside management plan, right? Because if it does break this $1.30, do you think that the chances of it going lower would be higher as well? Because this is the level that buyers came in to support the prices and hold above it for at least a couple of months. If now it breaks below this level, the probability of the price heading lower will be higher. And we don't want to, now you're sitting on, let's see, now you're sitting on a 30% loss. You don't want it to go to a situation whereby it get lower, then become a 50% loss, 60% loss, 70% loss, right? Because if usually, right, if it breaks below a support level and you don't cut below a support level, right, and if the price hit even lower, maybe let's say to about the 10 cent, if you didn't cut about 13 cents, do you think if price go to a 10 cent, you will willingly cut? Usually it's very hard, right? Usually it's very hard because when the price is higher, you already didn't want to cut. When the price goes even lower, even if you tell yourself, okay, I will cut at that level, but sometimes people don't follow through. It's very hard emotionally to cut at the price even lower, right? So this would be, I think, a very crucial level, right? Below the $1 and, this 30 cents right over here to have your stop loss plan in place, right? And also, very important thing is, of course, this is just a side thing, whereby when you are thinking about a position, right, make sure to do your position sizing as well, because that is also something that is very key, right? When you are seeing from here to here, you are down about 30%, right? But some people is able to stomach this 30% because they know that, even if I down 30%, right, the amount of money that I'll be losing is only capped to this amount, this dollar amount. You get what I mean? Because they are actively doing their position sizing and they know exactly how much shares to buy to keep their losses to that amount, even though the price actually dropped 30%. Right, so the key thing to learn or take away from this, right, would be, number one, you need to do position sizing, have a trading plan in place, and also to manage your downside, right? The key thing that we always talk about is managing your downside. Of course, I hope that you have already got out here, but unfortunately, now we are here, but make sure to also keep a watch of this 13 cents, because if it does break, I think very likely we may see more weakness returning back to this counter. All right, so that would be for MarcoPolo Marine. I think I will pass my time back over to Joey, right? Back over to Joey so that he can cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So let's go into cover. So I think we have covered a total of 15 stocks. By right, we should go to the bonus stock section already, guys. So as I say, guys, apologies if you cannot cover all your stocks, right? There's more than 50, 60 over stock on last count. All right, so we do our best every Friday, right? If you really cannot, so sorry. All right, maybe you can join us next Friday again, or next Friday for the Singapore market AMAS again. But I was thinking maybe I can just cover one more first, right, before we move on to the bonus, the 3 bonus stocks that each of us will share with you in terms of the top stocks to watch in the Singapore market, right? So let me just pick one more. I mean, I really picked one. Seems like a few of you were asking about it. Let me just go to share my screen and see what stock is this. Well, that would be for Propnex, right? Okay, Steven, Propnex suddenly dropped today. Any chance to hit $2? So now it's $1.85, right? Let's take a look at, so you're asking if you can go up to $2 lah. Let's see, another of you asking about Propnex as well. Okay, let me find. So guys, there's a lot of comments. So I have to try and find. Let me see. I think John, OYY Propnex, right? I mentioned in Joey's video that above 190, it's positive. Right now, it's 1.85. Any change in stance? All right, yeah. So this was actually one of the stocks that I did on my YouTube video. I think over the past week, whereby I shared on some of the top Singapore stocks. So check out my YouTube channel, guys. If you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you do so that you don't also miss some of those videos that we do on a weekly basis. We even have some of our new initiative, the podcast. All right, we actually do a podcast where we talk about not just about stocks and trading and stuff, but we will have speakers coming on board as well. All right, we will have topics such as a bit of investments, fundamental, And that's where you get more insights as well, apart from the one good trend strategy and this whole technical chart analysis that we're doing right now. So make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, right? Joey Choy, which is where you are right now. If you're on YouTube live with us, right, subscribe so that when we go live, you'll be notified, and so you don't miss on those videos that we talk about. All right. So Propnex was one of the stocks that we talk about, right? So yeah, any change in stance, right? Is it still positive, right? Because now I mentioned in the video that yeah, we need to kind of like stay above 190, but now it's like back below 190. So let's find out in a bit. Let me see. Another of you asking about Propnex. Okay, let me see. I think there's a few more other comments on Propnex. Probably can't find it, all right? But okay, let's just go, right? Let's just go talk about Propnex right now. Okay, so this is Propnex. Let me just go ahead to analyze it right now. So you can see that for Propnex, I can turn on the 1GT Pro indicator very quickly. Pump. And let's see some of the bullish and bearish signals that pop up. So Propnex has been one of those stocks to buy. It was very, very bullish somewhere last year. Of course, we sent out a few notes to our clients as well in Flip Securities. You can see we got some bullish signals popping out in June last year, all right? And then in July, it just woke up and then it all the way up, right? I don't know how many percent would that be, but it was a very, very bullish stock, one of the top performing stock last year, 136% in like 3 months, all right? And then after that, bearish signal actually appeared. Now, that's where you want to get out, take some profit, it starts going down. Bullish signals appeared again, it went back up. Same thing, bearish signal appeared in March, when the US-Iran war started, right, the market sold off, we got bearish signal, and it starts coming down. Now, over the past, I would say 2 months, well, we actually got 2 new bullish signal popping out, right? Right over here, first one came out in April, it went up a little bit, and then rested sideways. A second 1GT bullish signal actually appeared as well. So I would say that we were actually, hovering below this very key resistance, that is the $1.90. So 190, you can see we touched, we came down, all right, we touched, we came down. And when I did the video, I think like probably last week or something, right, that's where we actually attempted to break the $1.90 key resistance level. Look at this, right? Previously as well, same thing, right? That was in like beginning of the year. When we broke 190, we got the first 1GT bullish signal, and there we go, right? The rally or the reversal actually started. So 190 is, I would say, quite an important level. It's quite an important resistance, right? It was the resistance previously. We went above it. It started to move up, right? It was a support. We broke down, and it turned to a resistance again that we have been consolidating below for the past 2 to 3 months. So I think, yeah, we managed to, break above it, all right? But unfortunately, the market was a little bit weaker, and we, pushed back down again. So, in my video, I mentioned, right? Normally, I think that's what my team has mentioned as well. When we were to see a bullish signal, it doesn't mean that we just rush and then just anyhow go and buy. No, right? A bullish signal will be just one of the confirmation that we seek, that we want to, be alerted in, all right? And to get prepared to see if there are any other confirmations to get in, right? So we actually have what we call like a 7-step checklist. So a bullish signal will be just 1 step. So if we have like, 4 out of 7 steps or 4 points out of 7, that's where it's a very good high conviction trade setup. So for Propnex, there was a pretty good confirmation. I mean, we got a bullish signal, we went above 190, but we also wanted to see, as what I mentioned in the previous video as well, we want to see prices holding above the 190. At least like, 1, 2, 3 days, right? Just hovering above this 190, that would put it as a new support level, right? And then we hold above 190, and then maybe we go above that 195, like you see, right? We go above the high of that signal day, like we go above 195, we go to 196, 197, 198. That would be more confirmation that new buyers are not just holding above the 190, but we are attempting to push away from it, right? And those are the confirmations that we seek, right? Of course, we look at things like volume and some other steps in the checklist that we have, right? But over the past few days, of course, the market is a bit weaker, so we kind of like came back down below 190. Now it's like 185, slightly lower. So I wouldn't just ignore it. I would say that, we might just be consolidating again back below 190. But let's see if it attempts again to really go back above 190, stay above it, and even push away from it. I think if that happens, that is where we could potentially see a little bit more upside. I think that's where the confirmation could be firmer, and that's where we could see a bit of a reversal, right, all the way up to maybe about $2.20. Look at this, right? A bit of resistance right over here. So that could be the upside, 2.20, and then maybe all the way to that $2.60. All right. So now we are just kind of like just right below it. Market's a bit weaker, but I think the next 1-2 weeks will be quite crucial to see if we can get back above that $1.90 again. I think that's where we could really start to see more strength coming back. All right, Ken. So that would be for Propnex, right? Propnex, who is asking about it right over here. Propnex, I hope that helps. All right. Propnex for John. Okay, so no change in stance. It still looks okay, but preferably it can go above 190. I think that's where you could get the confirmation that we need. Okay, Ken? Okay, now let's go ahead to move on to the next part of today's AMAS segment, which should be the 3 bonus stock that, we're going to share with you guys today, all right? So thanks for staying all the way to here, all right? Those of you who have stayed with us, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time over here. And I say very sorry if we cannot cover all your Singapore stocks, right? There's more than 50, 60 other stocks. It might take like 3-4 hours, right? But we hope that you got value, you learned something, all right? If you want to test drive the very tool that we are using, this is the Pro version. We do have a light version, all right? The link is right in the chat. Test drive the One Good Trend Light Indicator for free, and you get, I would say, more than $3,000 worth of training, for free, right? For free. Let me just show you guys the page. I mean, right over here, this is pretty much the page. Let me just hide the comment. How do I hide the comment? Right over here. Yeah. So right over here, right? So this is a page, the exact trading tool that I use. Not just me and my team use daily to spot winning trades. Now yours free for 14 days. Get clear buy and sell signals in seconds, even if you're not a trading expert, right? And you get more than $3,000 worth of training, pure money making information for free, just for saying maybe to test drive it, right? So the link is right in the chat. This is where you will come to. There's a video to explain a little bit more as well. Okay, let's move on to the top Singapore stocks I'll share with you guys. And the very first stock that I'd like to share with you guys would be this company, all right, that has been in my watch list. It came back to my watch list, and that would be, let's see, I would say that would be SIA Engineering. Look at this. This is SIA Engineering. Of course, I've turned on the One Good Trend Pro indicator in terms of the bullish and bearish signals. Let me just turn it off. All right, and you see nothing happened, right? Turn it on, pump. And there we go. SIA Engineering. Team just placed the banner up, all right? So you can see right over here, all right? We have actually 2 new 1GT bullish signal actually popping up. So why did it come back to my watch list over the past 1 to 2 weeks? Well, if you ask me in March and April, I would say to be patient. Why? Because you can see we got bearish signal, and it was going down. The short-term trend also going down, right? Flat and down, right? So a bit weaker, right? It was a bit affected when the US-Iran war started. It's a bit of the aviation sector. All right. And we sold off from 360 to 350 all the way to $3.10. Okay. But over the past 2-3 weeks, finally, right, we got not 1 but 2 1GT bullish signal, right? And we were actually consolidating, I would say, below this very key resistance level, right? The $3.40. Look at this, right? So 340 we touched, we come down, we near it, we came down, right? For the past 3 months, every time we go to 340, we come back down, right? But over the past few days, right, we actually managed to go above that 340, right? Coupled with the 2 bullish signals coming out, playing out still. The short-term trend, the green 20 days moving average line, that was down, 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 also starting to turn up over the past 2 weeks as well, all right? And more importantly, we have got above that 340 key resistance level, right? So yesterday was quite a bullish day. Over the past few days, we tended to break above 340, pushing higher. Today, I mean, a bit of profit taking, all right, a bit of a pullback, but we're still above 340. Now it's 345, 346. So these will be what we call a new support level. Let me just go ahead to put this red to a green line. I think anything above 340, the reversal is pretty much in progress all the way towards maybe the $3.80 resistance level. That was where we were in November all the way to December, January, and we touched, came down. So that is potentially where some selling can come back again, right? So this is the very first stock, SIA Engineering, that came back to my watch list. after the selling since like, March and April, it seems like we're starting to see some progress, some signs of a reversal that is still happening, right? Especially if we stay above the new $3.40 support level, right? And if you take a look at the past, I mean, look at this, right? Previously as well, right? When we got bullish signals last year, look at this, right? Right over here, we got a bullish signal when it was like $1.90. Another one came out. Look at it for yourself. I'm not saying that these will happen right now, but when we get bullish signals, right? Doesn't mean any bullish signals, but when we get bullish signals plus some confirmation, look at this, another one, pump, all the way up. And then bearish one, and it starts coming down, right? So could it be like last year whereby we got bullish signals and other confirmations? It could be, right? That's where at least there are some signs of strength coming back. That's what we're looking for. Seems like it is eventually or gradually playing out. All right, so this is SIA Engineering. The code is S59. My bonus Singapore stock for today that you can put in your watch list, potentially the next 1-2 weeks, maybe up to 1-2 months. Okay, now let me pass on the mic to Bervin to share his top bonus Singapore stock for today. Bervin, yours.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so I think my bonus stock actually is no surprise to you guys as well. I'll be covering one of the stocks that I've previously covered as well, SGX Limited. All right, so SGX, I think, has been moving up very steadily, very slowly, but it is moving up. It is moving up after another period of consolidation since April all the way to June. It has finally broke up higher. All right, finding a new higher support above that $23.40 level. $23.50 level with that 20 days moving average. Last time wasn't as steep, but it's still pointing up. Now it's even steeper, right? Still definitely above the 100 to 100 days moving average. Longer term trends still looking very good. They're up move all the way since April of 2025 at $12 all the way up to now at around that $23 to $24 range. Is still 100% gain. So the prices have moved about 100% since last year, since more than a year ago already, and it's still looking not too bad. With our immediate target, we have immediately drawn it at that 25. Sorry, give me a second. I think my chart just hanged. Okay, so yeah, the immediate target right around that $25 level. Right, the $25 psychological level, still a very, very key level as of this point. But what are we expecting the prices to do? I think we can expect a little bit of these kinds of moves as prices start to hit higher, consolidate, and then push past further. So if I could just trace that, draw it like that, you may see a very, very similar price move. It means prices have just been moving, will most likely be moving, consolidating before moving higher, consolidating, moving higher. So SGX is still very much a play on the whole equity development program. All right, the MAS has introduced. I think rather than trying to go and pick the stock, we would also like to get the general company or the general counter that will benefit entirely from this program that was introduced. All right, so since right now we are trading around the $23.89 level before lunch, I will draw a buy zone right around maybe $23.50 to maybe $23.70. Let's zoom in for a little bit. Right here, this is where potentially you could position yourself for an entry. Have some alerts set out in that area as well. Some alerts close to that $25 level, just to maybe some of you guys would like to lock in some of those profits that you guys have been sitting on since previously. I think $25 psychological level could be a good level to lock up some of those profits as well. But I think further upside could be projected as well if that $25 level gives way. So I think in general, SGX is still doing quite well, and we should continue to see market volatility going into the second half of the year. Thus, they will still likely benefit from increased clearing of derivatives contracts as well. All right, so that is my bonus stock, still the same, Singapore Exchange. Now I'll pass the time to Z to cover the last bonus stock for today. Z?
All right, thanks, Bhavin. Okay, so I switched the screen, and over here, my bonus stock that I'd like to share with you guys today will be none other than sets, right? And I think just now I was seeing the comments, some of you guys were actually asking about sets, right? And I think it ties in very nicely, whereby Joey covered SIA right at the start as the very first stock, and his bonus stock today is actually SIA Engineering, and my bonus stock is set. So actually, if you think about it, these three are actually deeply connected, and also I think just now I saw someone in the comment was talking about oil prices, right? So if you guys are aware, recently oil prices have been dipping, right? And I think that actually give a boost to a lot of the airlines out there, not just in Singapore but also in the US, right? And typically, SIA Engineering, whereby Joey just covered, it specializes in the maintenance part of things, right? Whereas for sets, it would be more towards, the in-flight catering, the cargo handling, and, the ground handling services, like basically. So all these three, I would say, are closely related, and you can see that all of them are actually poised for potentially more upside, right? So right now for sets, let's take a look at it, right? So sets, same thing. We can see that there is 1GT bullish signal that is still playing out, right? That is still playing out, and definitely short-term strength is very strong, right? Short-term is actually heading up very steeply. And actually, in fact, for the longer-term trend, right, we to ask, like, hey, when did the longer-term trend starts to point out? Right? Actually, back last year in September, October, right, you can see that the rate actually crossed above the blue, right? The rate actually crossed above the blue already. But then it was just kind of like taking its own sweet time, right? Going sideways for a bit. And right now you can see red, it is still above the blue, which is a good thing. Green above red, above a blue, which is usually what we typically want to see in an uptrend, right? And these two longer term moving average, right, is starting to show signs of it slightly pointing up as well, right? Trying to catch up with the short term, which is the green one, right? So overall, in terms of the trend, definitely looking not too bad, right? And in terms of price action wise, you can see that over the past couple of weeks, right, I think we are able to spot, the immediate, I would say the immediate level that perhaps you guys want to take note of, right? I think that would be this 440, right? This 440, because you can see that 1, 2, 3, these 3 days, or actually in fact these 4 days right over here, was testing this 440 as a resistance, right? Wow, managed to break above it with a bullish candlestick, and right now, I mean, today it is testing again. I don't know whether will it hold above the 440, right? But I would say that immediate support level we could be looking towards will be definitely the 440. But of course, $4, as you can see over here, is a psychological resistance, right? Back until, if we were to see back in 2024, this $4 psychological resistance is the level that was being kept since 2024, right? But right now, this $4 raised higher, right? A new higher support potentially could be found near this 440. So let's see whether this 440 will be able to hold, right? And in terms of those of you who are saying, hey, then what about target, right? So target, very simply, you can see, right, I've put this right over here, right? And I've drawn it up to about the 480. And how did I even get this, right? You can see that basically it is usually a projection, right? You can see that this projection right over here, I mean, here to here as well. And you can see some sort of resistance. But of course, during this period, $4 to 440, it did not consolidate much, right? Not like when it was back in this period, right? But of course, when we do this projection up, it will be towards 480. And one thing that I want to point out is if you were to look back far enough, can you see that this 480 actually it is the high back in 2018, 2019? That is many, many years back, right? So that would be the next upside target if prices is able to continue hold firmly above this 440. So, of course, the thing is that we can have a trading plan in place, right? Whereby, nearer to the 480, that could be your sell zone, right? And of course, your entry could be near to the support zone, whereby currently we are near the 440 support zone, and having a stop loss in place as well, slightly below the 440, right? Or if you want to give it more chance, more space, you want to put it slightly below this the previous candle's low, that is fine as well. Or if you want to do position sizing and you want to have even more larger risk appetite, some of them maybe you want to put below the $4 based on position sizing. Yeah, but at the end of the day, the key thing is to have a plan, right? Whereby your entry, your target, and then your stop loss. But overall, I think definitely sets is still looking pretty bullish. And as long as the entire the stocks that are related to like airlines, related to oil prices, I think all of this would still look pretty bullish as long as the oil prices continue to maintain at a lower level. All right. So overall, I mean, sets will still be in our watch list, still be monitoring sets as well. And I think if you like this stock, take note of some of the levels, especially this 440 will be immediate support, 480 target, and also $4 as the psychological key support right over here. All right, so I think that would be sets on my end, and that's my bonus stock for today. So I will pass the time back over to Joey so that he can actually close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much. And there we have it, guys. These are pretty much the three top bonus stocks that we'd like to share with you guys today. So I talk about SIA Engineering. All right, put it in your watch list. I think if it holds above 340 support, still looks okay. Okay. Bervin talk about Singapore Exchange, SGX, and Z just covered on sets as well. Right. So I hope you like these stocks. And in fact, as I say, these stocks were actually shared with our clients in Phillip Securities, my VIP clients in Phillip Securities. So if you are not yet a client, in fact, let us know, guys, how many of you are clients over here? You have a trading account under me. You are receiving our daily updates and ideas. Type a C for client. If you are a client of mine in Phillip Securities, that means you have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities. Type a C for client. Let me just call out your name, acknowledge you, and thank you for your support. Really appreciate it. All right, C for client. If you are a client, I think we do have quite a bit of clients joining us every Friday as well. Let's see who is joining us here today. Wow, David, hi. Klein as well, Joe Kip as well, Jared, Pinky the Miffy, Tara, Wong, Klein, Baksum, Cynthia, Fiona. So a lot of clients joining us. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for your support joining us on our Friday weekly AMAS and also on your support in the trading account. If any issues, reach out to our broking team by WhatsApp. They will easily be able to assist you in your trading account. All right. Thank you so much for your support. And same thing, right? For those of you who did not type C for client, that means I think you are maybe not a client yet, right? Then what you want to do, the link is right in the chat. Just place the link in the chat. The link is probably like hidden somewhere, right? So go to find out how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities for free, like many of our clients over here, all right? You do not pay anything more. It's pretty much the same as whatever you pay when you're trading, and you get some of those top ideas, Singapore ideas, and updates much faster daily, right? By WhatsApp, right? Faster than time it takes for us to cover over here. By then, it might have gone up a little bit already. So you want to be faster, find out how you can become a client of ours in Phillip Securities for free. You do not pay anything more, right? You pretty much get to enjoy some value-added service, right? More personalized service for free, right? For free. All right, and especially if, as I say just now, and that's what a lot of our clients tell us, whereby they don't get much service from their own broker. They just have a app or online platform they log into, and then nobody really care about them. It's like they just log in and themselves just pick up one stock. If that's you guys, find out more. All right, click on the link in the chat. Okay, Ken. Okay, let me pass on the mic to Bobby and Z. Anything to say? All right, before we end today's session.
I think maybe one thing just to remind you guys, I think just now Bervin also mentioned about the podcast, right? So I think this is something that is very new for all of us. So I think if you want to know a little bit about Joey, a different side of Joey, me and Bervin, something else apart from us talking about charts, feel free to actually watch the podcast. I think we have just released the first episode, so more episodes will be coming soon. And yeah, I mean, we hope to see you guys there as well, apart from this AMAS lah.
I completely agree with you. You want to listen to Joey in a different view, not talk about technical analysis too much. Find out a little bit more of him on a personal level. I think you can definitely watch the podcast. I think it will be very interesting for you guys to see a different side of him. All right.
Yep. So yeah, just want to share that is like a new initiative. So those of you who have already subscribed to my YouTube channel, Joey Choy, pretty much where you are joining us live on. All right, then the video I think has been published, a podcast video has been published, and we're looking to do more podcasts every single week just to add more value to you guys, to give you another type of insights. All right, another type of value add. All right, and we will have guest speakers coming on board as well just to share their insights, their strategies, and I'm sure all of you can benefit from it, right? So this is a new thing, all right, that we just launched. Check out, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that when we go live, you'll be alerted. And when any of those videos, whether is it about analysis on top stocks, about my one good trend strategy, or about the one good chat podcast that we launch, you will be able to be alerted as well. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Thanks for staying all the way to now. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend. Take care, everyone. We hope you got value. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good weekend.
Bye bye.
Bye.